A big match here at the MCG in Melbourne. Of course, that's the Collingwood Magpies. They take on the Richmond Tigers. It's going to be a fantastic game. Collingwood need this victory to stay in the hunt, keep their season alive for a finals chance coming up in just a few weeks' time. And of course, Richmond, they need to win to keep their pride because they're not going too well. Let's just have a little bit of a look at the ins and outs, see who's in the team at the moment. Let's line this up. Just line this up, folks. All right, just about there, just about there. That's looking a little bit better. Coming back. All right, we're going to have a look at the teams in just a moment. Sorry for that moving. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious me. Finally there, aren't we? Let's just tilt that a little bit more that way. All right, so let me just have a look at that, see how that's looking. We're getting there, folks, we're getting there. All right, that'll do. That'll do for now. Let's have a look at the teams. Let's have a look at the ins and outs. For Collingwood, we've got Lockie Schultz comes in. Got some big ins there. Mason Cox, a big ruckman. Harvey Harrison, Jack Bytel, and Will Parker coming in. Of course, omitted is Reef McInnes, Nathan Kruger. A big out there, injured. Oliver Markov is out. Jordan Nagoe is out. He's injured. Unfortunately, that's a massive, massive out for the Magpies. Joey Richards out as well. Lockie Sullivan comes in as the sub. Of course, for the Tigers, we've got Nick Vlosten comes in with Tim Taranto. Nan Curvis and Sonsai go out omitted and injured. Thompson Dow is the sub for the Tigers. So we have a look at the teams there. We've got the half-backs there for Collingwood. Maynard, Maul, Quainer. We've got Noble, Jeremy Howe, still side bottom for the half-backs. We've got Lipinski, Nick Dacos and Josh Dacos, the brothers, in there in the centre for the Magpies. We've got Bobby Hill, Lockie Schultz and Jamie Elliott. Can one of those boys take the mark of the year in this game as the half-forwards? And we've got Darcy Cameron, Scotty Pendlebury, the captain, and Jack Crisp as the followers. Interchange, Bytel, Will Halscombe, Elliott, Ned Long, Will Parker. There we go. We've got the emergencies there. Frampton, Markov, Joe Richards. For Richmond's team, down the backs, we've got Broad, Miller, Trenzai, and we've got Short, Rioli, Vlosten in the half-back. Centre, Ralph Smith, Prestia, and Sam Banks. And, of course, half-forwards, we've got Green, Campbell, Mansell. Forwards there for the Tigers, Bolter, Shai Bolton, Kudzinski. Of course, the followers are Ryan Taranto, Liam Baker. Interchange, Smith, Hopper, McIntosh, Brown, emergency, Sonsei, Bauer, and Coulthard. There we go. That is the teams' lineups today. Of course, we've got a few big ins, a few big outs for either team. But this is going to be one fantastic game. As I said, both teams need a win today. Let's have a little bit of a look at the odds on today. Who goes in as favourites today? Well, it's the Collingwood Magpies. They go in as hot favourites today at 125. Of course, Richmond, who are not expected to win this game, but they do play okay against the Magpies. They were at They were at 385, I think. Is that what we just saw? 385? 125 for the Magpies. That's better now. I can line that up a bit better. Bring it back a bit. So we're in for a ring-a-ding-ding game here today, folks. It's going to be a cracker. It's going to be a really, really good game. Of course, we're wanting the Magpies to have a victory here because that's who I follow. I follow the Magpies. There we go. That's not too bad. That's going to have to do it, I think. That'll do. All right, we are 3 minutes away from the bounce of the game. Let's have a look at the ladder, where they both stand. And of course, Collingwood sitting down here in 13th position. Although they're a fair way down on the ladder, 36 points. Only a game and a half outside of the top 8. And of course, Essendon played and lost. Western Bulldogs still got to play today, as do Hawthorn. But this is a must-win for Collingwood, and they do need to win by a good margin to try and lift that percentage up a little bit. They can win this, they'll go up to 40 points. That'll put them at least up into around about 10th position, still giving them a chance to fill that final 8th position on the ladder, coming into about the last 5 to 6 rounds of the season here. Of course, Richmond down the bottom, while some say that Richmond actually probably, it's better for them to actually lose this game so they can get a better draft pick coming in to next season. Of course, Collingwood have lost their last 4 games. They've won one of their last 5, and Richmond have lost their last 5 games. So I think most predictors are predicting the Magpies to win this game. And so am I. Don't forget, throw your vote in if you like there, folks. Throw your vote in. I've got the poll going. Who's going to win today, Collingwood or Richmond? And we'll see how we go at the end of the game. But we're going to take it down to the commentators. The players are out on the ground. They're milling around. And they will get into position not too far away. So we've just got just over a minute to the bounce of the ball. Captains are in the middle. The umpires are going to toss the coin. We'll see who kicks what end. Anyway, folks, enjoy the game. The mighty Magpies take on Richmond.
But the scene is set for a fascinating clash.
It is, and just looking at Craig McRae's state, you know, a week's a long time in football. The post-match is really difficult to do, and he was flat and he was angry at that point. But then see the way he presents now, in opportunity and possibility, and that's exactly the way that a club cycle goes. This team here, Collingwood, will be expecting to play their best football to get a win on the board and earn the win against Richmond, who have had their struggles through this season 2024, and then they put themselves back in the hunt. But you can't put the cart before the horse. They really do need to be playing a better brand of football, and I think they'll be tested by a Richmond side who looked really lively last week early, moving the ball from their D50 into their forward line.
Yeah, in the end, they lost by 41 points, but they were within 10 points of Port Adelaide. We saw them challenge Carlton, only a couple of goals down here at the MCG a few weeks ago. And as we mentioned, the Pies, of course, coming off a 66-point loss, their worst under Craig McRae. So it'll be fascinating to see the response and whether they just change a few things up, maybe get a bit more basic with the way they play, because one thing you guys have identified already, the lack of getting the ball in their front half has been one of the main issues.
It has been, and there's no doubt that that'll be something that Richmond will try. I think so. Jaden Short and Daniel Rioli off the back. I'd expect Richmond to go really hard forward from their back half, and I'd expect Collingwood to be getting on the front foot, trying to cut them in half and turn the ball over, go back and score. Richmond have been poor in that area the last 4 weeks. They've been scored against heavily from back half turnovers, but Collingwood just haven't been able to force enough of those over the last 10 weeks.
So the Pies are living on the edge, and to get back on the winners list this afternoon against Richmond, who are without their captain, And Toby Nankervis and their superstar Dustin Martin still a week away. Bit of volleyball to start things off. Prestia, they still have some pretty solid midfielders, Richmond, and that could be a challenge for the Pies, who eventually do get the first significant possession. Bobby Hill, a couple of goals last week, and the connection with Elliott. That's a fine start.
Yeah, not a great start.
One more.
Square up there from Jamie Elliott. Not a great start for the Tigers there. Won that first clearance through Samson Ryan. Down Prestia just had to get it forward. So important at the start of the game to take ground. It was the thing last week that Collingwood weren't able to do. McRae spoke about in his press comments is just forward foot in. The Tigers had an opportunity there. Quick turnover. The 399 game.
It's going to be massive next week, isn't it, against Carlton? Exactly 200 goals. I'd love to get one here nice and early, just to set the scene at the MCG. And you don't have to be under 23 to have a fancy new modern celebration. Bucks to interpret that.
No, I can't. I don't speak Pendlebury. Definitely not after he kicks a goal.
I don't speak Pendlebury.
That was actually exactly where he kicked that goal at the end of the third quarter. And Pendles, it was great to see him rewarded with the ball in his hands at the end of that play. He was the one that was able to turn that ball over from Dion Prestia. And it was clear that Richmond wanted to get the handball game going right from the get-go, even from centre bounce. And Pendles didn't switch off. Don't know if you knew, but he's got a basketball background. He's able to cut that ball off and then
well, he was very excited about
the
Boomers win,
wasn't he?
He was, and you're right. That's almost a replica, as we see Dusty, as you said, on the edge, but they just couldn't quite see the logic in playing him today with the risks involved. So hopefully he'll be back next week. That was almost a replica of that big goal late in the third quarter in the grand final, wasn't it? Bobby Hill with the pass. This time it was Elliott that passed it across to connect with Pendlebury. Richmond getting a look. Steely Green. Driving ball towards Bolter in his 100th. And the athleticism, he almost brings it down. No sympathy from the umpire to pay it. Oh, the two Pies, Noble and Lipinski, getting in each other's way there. It's not hard enough with the opposition. Rel Smith continues to run hard off that wing. Here's Bolton. Was always confident he could get past and get the kick deep. But Cameron, he fumbled the mark in the air. He's the number one ruckman in terms of taking those intercept marks in the competition.
Yeah, and Cameron's been excellent in the last month in particular. This was a fair hang early. And this is a little bit about what's happening in the last 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, Pies not quite as clean, but already seeing some lively play from both sides.
Speaking of lively, Nick Dacos trying to generate some handball spark off half back. Mansell's kick wiped off immediately. Both sides of the game shown by Nick Dacos, with or without the footy. Miller has been solid all year. The forward handball, Baker mishandling. It has been raining on and off through the morning into the early afternoon here at the MCG.
I think it's so important, Hutto, to be still playing probably an element of wet weather footy early on here. Territory is so important at the start of a game.
Cameron down to Pendlebury and then to Crisp. 233rd consecutive game for Jack Crisp, rounded up by Broad. Back through the middle, Daniel Rioli, the only Tiger to have played every game this year. It is amazing. Nathan, we were talking pre-game about it.
42 players have played for Richmond this year, which is a huge number. Like you're going so deep into your list, and for Dan Rioli to be the only player that's played every game, it says something about the change in personnel and how difficult it's been for the Tigers.
This is that other style of game that you spoke about, Bucks, that Carlton and Essendon have done against Collingwood. That chip mentality, hold on to the ball, keep it away from the Pies.
Well, Hawthorn didn't do it last week, but they didn't want to change their mode, which has been so successful. So we'll see what Richmond choose. Kazitsky and Moore, the contest was made. Maynard, back to some good intercepting form for him last week. They were under torrent of pressure, though, it has to be said. Cameron slaps it back to the wing. A telling spoil from Schultz, who's returned to the team after concussion against the Cats, but the Tigers holding up pretty well across halfback for now.
In these positions, teams against Collingwood have been able to, on slow play, find the next kick option, and already it looks like they've tightened up there a little bit, but we'll see if that's sustainable throughout the day.
They've had a bit of practice now, I guess, haven't they? They can prepare. Short's kick was excellent. They are going very wide at the moment, though, the Tigers on entry. Ralph Smith sees a very congested forward 50. Can he find a little slot to lead and jump into? Ryan, He won't get many better chances than that 30 out from goal today. Slides to Prestia, searching with the eyes. Now it's Floston, got himself balanced, but didn't get the angle right, and he's missed by a margin.
Would have liked Hugo Rouse-Smith just to play on there. Once you centre forward and you played that chip game and you're sort of setting him up, as soon as you can get it deep, take the option to get it deep. Don't allow Collingwood to reset behind the ball again.
Josh Dacos, who played a bit of time off half-back last week, as they did move the magnets around.
It's a great kick.
Out to Cameron, wasn't it?
It's a good block by Mason Cox off the ball there to free up Cameron as well.
For those that missed it, Adamuso said they're going to go three-way against Cameron today in the absence of Toby Nankervis, who's a huge outfall.
In even doses, so 8 minutes each across the quarter, and I suppose whoever's going better gets the slice of the rest of the quarter, but trying to share that load and give them as much of a look as possible.
Well, it does what he had to do. So does Taranto, to Rioli, to Baker. So a bit of experience in all of that. There's an element of risk, but more than an element, but Ralph Smith good enough, and then a risky handball back to the infield. Noble, Pendlebury, again the greasy ball comes into play. Baker ducking Pendlebury and the invisible man to try and get out. Here comes Mayo, that's legs. Mayo got there first, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles these days.
We're so wary on a day like today where it is slippery underfoot there.
Won't be the last one.
Keep your feet
Already Collingwood, the Pendlebury's turnover at halfback got them inside for their first goal, but they've probably turned over another 3 or 4, haven't been able to go inside 50.
Boston again. Oh, that's going to be downfield.
Quite lucky there, Boston, that they got the free kick because he had Noel Bolter free and Samson Ryan, who seems to be pushing really hard forward. It might be that 8-minute spurt that Adamuso spoke about with the ruck bucks, is that they're really going to try and work over Darcy Cameron and take him deep into the Tigers forward line.
It's only early stages, but this is Richmond's 6th inside 50. Collingwood have had just the one, which was the very first, so it's the same situation being played again.
Shoots for goal. That is a work of art. A Banksy.
Very good. Very good. What a good finish there. And obviously the downfield free kick came from the Nick Vlosten. Lockie Schultz just pushed him in the back. And for young Banks, who is hasn't played 10 games so far, the young boy from Tassie, you can see there, just I don't know whether that free kick's there, but
that's two inside 50s for Nick Vlosten, or two kicks for 2 out of 4. One of them we've got a goal out of.
Great finish. What
was the exhibition like?
It was terrific.
Surely when you were thinking, I might run this, what odds do you think you had on Sam Banks kicking a goal and you allowing to get yourself that line out? That's remarkable.
So,
doesn't like to talk about himself.
Not on air.
It's over you in the coverage here.
Some reward for the Tigers at least. Sun's back out at the MCG. Cameron thrashing it forward. Good hands again from Caleb Smith. Gets it away to Rioli. To Ryan. Eventually they get sorted. Bolton on the charge. The little flick from Campbell. And Bolton, their inside Moore, was well stationed back there.
Just a ball use inside 50 again there from Shea Bolton. Noel Bolter was on the lead. Darcy Moore just trailing in, but Moore reads the ball so well in flight.
Bolton laced him out.
High to the wing. See Ryan work his way to the front there. He wasn't far off the mark. Dacos setting Hill on a path. He'll want it back here from McStay. He knew the story. He's had a bounce at half forward. Bobby Hill thought of a second. Instead, it's a drilling ball. Probably didn't arrive at its ideal destination, but they're not complaining now. Jamie Elliott onto it and into it. And the Pies have a pretty sprightly response.
You can see there the value in the speed of Bobby Hill. He was the one that got involved in that originally, and it was Ben Miller, unfortunately, that didn't take out Bobby Hill on the run here. As soon as this contest comes in, Collingwood were able to get out the back. So Hill attends there and just knows, I'm going to be working hard for it. It was that moment there, just off screen, that you see Ben Miller doesn't take out the runner, and good luck catching Bobby Hill if he's running goal side. Had a couple of options going back towards goal, but Jamie Elliott just an opportunistic forward there, and a very nice finish around the corner.
12 months ago, that kick would have been out there to Lipinski. It would have been 2 or 3 seconds earlier. It would have been trust to know that there's a player running over the back and lengthening. But that's a little bit of the clunkiness that's there. But having said that, that's now a goal from the D50 and a goal from the half-back. So that's 2 goals from their back half change, which is a massive positive for Collingwood's offence.
Hopper to centre half forward. Nice body work from Quainer. Hit the mark. Looks it wide to Parker. Getting another opportunity today for the Pies. She isn't Hill up and about early. Lots of energy. He's sort of marking out his territory out of that half forward flank. Back to Josh Dacos. And then to Pendlebury. Richmond have had a bit of time this time to restock the defensive 50. Vitale. And now Nick Dacos.
Just smart running there from Nick Dacos. We know he works extremely hard, but he also puts himself in really good positions. Only need to be a 15-metre kick to get within goal kicking range here. This is going to take his best still, but just puts himself in the right spot.
15 goals, 11 for the season for Nick Dacos. 6-2 from set shots. It's one of the more challenging ones. So he actually just goes the little pop pass to Bobby.
You know, the coaches pull their hair out, Bucks. It's moments like that. And there's probably two spots that ball's going to go. It's either going to go short, directly over the middle of the mark, or top of the goal square if not having a shot on goal. So the opposition wingman needs to be in that position there to prevent that lead up.
His accuracy has fallen away this year, Bobby Hill, but it's mainly been the snaps in play rather than the set shots where he's dropped significantly. So he opens up things, but you can see not the connection he might have imagined. Frustrating.
All three scores now coming from back half ball use, so we'll keep our eye out for that as it continues. But when Dacos and Hill and Pendlebury are highest possession getters, you know that there's some good things happening.
It's the one part of the game that's sort of stayed true in the last sort of 4 weeks is their scores per inside 50. Right now, as another ball comes on the ground and we get held up,
bouncing out.
They're able to, when they are taking inside 50, they're having the ability to score.
Short to Foster. One of 8 Tigers that is a premiership player. It's still in the team today. One of them also is Daniel Rioli. Taranto floats it. Ralph Smith. You could sense Dacos was closing. Hopper. Slags it short to Ralph Smith. Not perfect, but it seemed to work all right. You can see the pressure, though, from Collingwood was starting to tell. So Hopper drives it long. Quainer a step or so behind. Brown, who's been redeployed up forward in the last couple of weeks as they continue to experiment. Marks and drives long. McIntosh and Ryan. And Howe. That is deliberately out of bounds, is it not?
It's a different type of handball game compared to what Hawthorn did last week. They played that fast handball game at the moment. Tigers just referring the pressure you see here, Jeremy Howe. That's probably deliberate.
That was the second spoil, wasn't it? It's only the anyway. Could be wrong. Back in dispute. Pendlebury. Schiltz.
Yeah, they've been a bit clunky, Richmond. You can see what their intent is.
Just referring pressure.
They haven't quite been able to beat Collingwood's at-ball pressure, and Collingwood moving the ball extremely well.
And Bytown just bides his time for a moment, uses Dacos. Ralph Smith still herring after it. Stays composed, but the final touch is not so good. Fostered in one motion did that wonderfully well. Precise as they stream out of defence. Umpire, everyone waiting for Ray to say, yeah.
This has a habit of happening in the game. Ralph Smith has had 3 or 4 fumbles and the ball keeps finding him. It's breaking down Richmond's offence at the moment.
Well, a little fumble unexpectedly from Josh Dacos. How about the recovery, though? Off the left boot, Tigers defence playing in front. Hill remains a threat, a big threat.
Handball game's a really interesting one to play from half-back as well. A lot of straight-line handballs like the one that just went to Hugo Ralph Smith actually invite pressure for a side that likes to push up the ground and defend from its back half.
Cameron arrives in time. But Daniel Rioli feasting off the tap. Back to the wing. Bit of push and shove. Maynard and Quainer against McIntosh. Parker on the slide. Nick Dacos, the short ball handling to Maynard. Gets a little deeper, but Boston has it covered.
Looks like Camden McIntosh is playing key forward at the moment, obviously rotating 3 players through the ruck. They've found another option in terms of a 190-centimetre winger.
Do any work with him as a key forward in your time, Jack?
0. That might be a good thing.
Noah Bolter seemed
a
bit reluctant, didn't he, in our opening interview?
I wasn't expecting much when I was asked to interview Noah Bolter in his 100th game. Well, not much positive towards me.
Caleb Smith So make his debut against the Cats back in round 12 as the sub. This is his third game at all. There's a juggling act from Kaczynski that finally, well, the mark wasn't paid. It was paid as a high contact. Off to Banks. Just kicks to the vacant goal square, and that vacancy was filled by Moore.
They have bombed the ball inside forward 50 a bit, Richmond, looking for territory, but geez, they've almost taken 3 or 4 marks. Kaczynski ended up getting that one in the end.
Howe's kick, good work by Kaczynski. Maybe playing in the ruck might do him the world of good. Get him around the footy. To half forward to Ryan. He did hurt his ankle last week and took over when Nankervis was concussed in the last term. Towards full forward, Bolton can't rise, and McIntosh.
Caught him that one.
Yeah.
Just rolled in there nicely. I think there's a bit of the winger sort of days there. Well, Shea Bolton was caught deep on Darcy Moore. Right now the Tigers' keys and tall players getting used up the ground, so inventing different opportunities towards scoring a goal. Looks like Cander McIntosh, who usually a reliable set shot, goes around the corner.
He's saying it's touched, which is a shame for the Tigers. It means it's an automatic review. 5 goals, 6 he had for the season coming in on a career of 53 goals, 42.
Umpire calls touch off the boot, please on talk.
It's only a little thing, but they do that well at Collingwood. Get Mason Cox on the line, on the mark.
It's something that Coxie has always enjoyed doing. He understands he's got a bit more height, a little bit more to kick over, and it doesn't often get touched, but on that occasion, I think McIntosh made it a little bit easier, a bit low, and there's probably no doubt there that it has been touched. I think it was called a point anyway, wasn't it?
You've got to do it, yes it was. You've got to do it quicker these days though with the mark.
Looking at this angle, there's insufficient evidence to determine whether the ball was touched or not. Decision on scoreboard.
So the soft call is behind, it won't be overruled.
Richmond 9 inside 50s for the 1 goal 1. So Collingwood's back 6, holding up a little bit better in that D50 than they have in recent times.
Jamie Elliott made a sneaky run into the middle to try and call for that, but Howe ignores it, goes for the height, and there's plenty there with Cameron and Cox. They're whacking away, as you saw. Now the scramble is underneath all of that, along the tackler.
For this handball game, handball receives at the moment, Tigers plus 10, so clearly trying to use the ball going forward by hand.
Bolter takes his turn against Cox. Cox on return gets the kick out of there. Rioli, gee, had the purchase for a fair while. Again, not deemed the mark. Crisp had Elliott in short. He goes longer for Hoskin Elliott. He's against 2 here. You wouldn't count him out. He played it all the way through. Squeezed the kick. Now Richmond defenders claim it's touched. The goal umpire just about caught one through all of that off the length.
Score review. Thank you. Please confirm it wasn't touched.
Review underway.
James Trezise there, who's claiming the ball was touched.
This might be a bit difficult to overturn as well.
I can't see anything conclusive there, Bucks, can you?
Nah.
It was tricky for Chelsea Roffey, who probably obscured a little bit there.
To the eye, it felt like the hand was on the ball at the same time as the boot, but if
The Tigers needed a Jesse Hogan-style type goalkeeper at that end.
correct.
Feels like Richard might come out on the wrong side of both these calls.
Yes. It's a great kick by Jack Crispy, and it gave Hoskin Elliott a good look and put the Richmond defenders under a bit of pressure with Harrison out on the fat side. So it was a dangerous entry for Collingwood.
You can't say it's not a thorough
This
check.
is too long, mate.
Crowd getting a little...
Review complete. Look at this angle. There's insufficient evidence to determine whether the ball was touched before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on scoreboard.
I think it's fair enough, as that's called a goal, as the goal umpire's call. I think it's fair enough that you take a little bit of extra time when it has been called a goal to see if there is any evidence at all that it's been touched. And I think that's what the extra time was about. That kick there was excellent. Hoskinelli tries to hit it over to Harrison initially and wasn't able to get his hands on it, and then went and finished it himself. I don't think there's any doubt that maybe the boot that was touched by the hand, and whether the ball was or not is up for debate.
Yeah, Trezise was that rotating player there, left his man to come across and try and impact that Hoskin-Elliott opportunity there. But unfortunately, when you come across, you've either got to take the ball or you've got to take the man, and he missed both of them. And smart thinking by Hoskin-Elliott there, just to get back on it. And another goal from D50 for the Pies.
Collingwood by 12. Ned Long laying the tackle, a wrap around on Prestia. Ninth game of AFL footy for Ned Long. His fourth as a Pie. Cocks the tap. Dacos possession 8. Equal with Floston. Highest disposal winner on the ground. Mark trying to be claimed, but Miller not given that advantage by the umpire Fisher. Cox with the tap. But Bolter was ready to play his part. A Shepherd for Prestia. And then a little chip for Brown versus Maynard. Oh, was he collected high? He was. Advantage taken by Noble to Nick Dacos to Bytel. Using that width on the southern side. With the Shane Warne stand. Spectators back through the middle to Harrison and then to Josh Dacos. So 4 or 5 hands and then a long driving ball to McStay. We saw in the big loss last week what Dan McStay can change in the way Collingwood move the ball forward. He does give them a substantial target and an aerial presence.
He seems to have a really good craft around these contested marks to work a player out of the contest and then maintain his position under the ball. What do you see? Great finish. What do you see when that mark there, he's had to move a couple of players out, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's interesting because you can find yourself in the middle of two. There's obviously Vlosten who's come off and he's trying to impact from the front there, which we know is a strength, and Collingwood no doubt would have scouted that as well. But this is the contest in terms of getting forward. He put himself in a good position there. Rides sort of Miller off, then comes into Vlosten and uses him as a step ladder.
Have a look at this in the warm-up. So he's kicked the goal from dead in front. But
if I was Craig McRae and I'm watching a key forward who I've been longing for
coming back
on a slippery surface off an ACL, I'll be like, hey, Dan, just maybe not that one this year, please. Finish though.
And save him for...
Look at that. Defensive half was something that you put on the agenda early on, Bucks, and we were chatting pre-game. Already 3 goals won from a defensive half scoring system.
There's some big alerts for the Tigers here. And Nick Dacos is one of them, generating footy out of the middle again. Floating it for Long. Bolton was there. Long's a big man, a big body. Gets the ball forward to Bobby Hill. Not the easiest of bounces to contain now. Crisp back outside to Josh Dacos to the square.
2-1.
Carries all the way.
And I think from a Richmond point of view, you look at the top possession getters at the moment, it's Vlosten, Rioli, Short, Ralph Smith. So clearly they need to generate some more possession through their midfielders with Taranto, Bolton and Dion Prestia as well. At the moment, the ball residing a lot in the Richmond back half.
Nick Dacos up to 11 touches. He's third in the coaches' votes at the moment, and maybe in the Brownlow 3 votes wouldn't go astray. It's going to be a thrilling night. Great count coming up, the way it seems. Just like this season, Ryan, he paid himself the mark, but that's not his job.
That's the next evolution for Samson Ryan. We've seen already a couple of times today. He's been able to get his hands to the ball in a clear jumping action, but just hasn't been able to secure it and bring the mark in.
And Nick Dacos already with 5 ground ball gets Dion Prestia's next best with 3 on the ground. So 11 touches so far from Nick, and well, there's his 12th.
Yeah,
Josh has had 6 off the halfback flank.
Austin doing what we've seen him do for a decade. Things a little bit harder for Trezise, but stays balanced. Along to Banks on the wing. Just under 5 minutes to go in the opening term.
Tigers just going back into this short possession game. Darcy Moore set himself up down the line for the long kick.
Prestia might be forced to submit to that. They have to move forward a fair way. You saw Howe with a whack. Bolton, creative as ever. Josh Dacos looks to counter. Collingwood advantage again, taken by Noble. He was right onto it. Out wide to Bobby Hill. Tigers desperate, trying to get numbers back to protect. And Hill didn't like the odds ahead. So he pauses and waits, and guess who's kept on running? Possession 14. Cox is demanding it deep. McStay the other option. They'll both get to the footy at about the same time. And McStay, with absolute authority, takes the mark.
There's just good kicks, and then there's elite kicks. Nick Dacos is an elite decision maker and an elite kick there. He just sat it into the perfect position for what was either going to be a McStay jump, or you can see Mason Cox there as well. Being so tall, they like to kick that sort of like pop kick into him to make sure he can get a run and jump at it. But at the moment, we spoke to Adam Uze, they potentially the Tigers, they need to move someone to Nick Dacos.
Yeah. Alarm bells ringing in the Tigers box. McStay returned last week with 1 goal, 2, and he's jumped onto 2 quick goals in this first quarter at the MCG. Has Collingwood's domination now reflected on the scoreboard?
McStay took a couple of contested marks early last week and missed those shots. It's amazing the difference a week can make. You kick those and all of a sudden it makes a significant difference. Josh Dacos, Noble involved there with Nick Dacos again. He ends up finding a way to get his hands back on it. Now 4 goals won from the back half, Collingwood. So their back half use is excellent. They've only had 2 front half turnovers. But one of the reasons for that is how efficient they've been going inside their 50. They've had 11 entries for 7 scoring shots. So the front 6 of Collingwood has just been too good for the back 6 of Richmond at present. And that's why we've got the gap in the scoreboard.
Cameron used his weight, displaced Ryan, but good diligent work by the big guy for the Tigers, and he wins the free with the tackle. Ryan, little handoff to Bolton. Shuffles and goes short to Rioli. Bolter leads Howe every which way. Longer option is Kazitsky. He's going to have to deal with Cameron, and he can't.
There's another example there, is that Noah Bolter's out early on. Daniel Rioli has that lane open to kick to him, but looking like they want to be kicking it long to the contest at the moment. Good work rate from Darcy Cameron to get back there and be the spare.
He's been getting really deep, quickly into D50 to help out the back 6. And
the walls of Jericho there.
Looked a bit matrixy, didn't he? Just needed the back bend.
Cameron turns around, tries to drag another one down. Baker fights a good, decent fight. Bolton got himself settled. Hopper, the invitation was there. A vacant goal square. Needed the bounce, but nothing is bouncing Richmond's way at either end, it seems, at the moment.
Clear it out. Take it out. Jeremy out. Thank you.
That was a must finish in that position. There wasn't a lot of conviction in the set shot or in the running shot.
More to Cameron and Cox again. Miller, part of that pack.
So it was Baker last week that went to Zach Butters for Richmond when they played Port Adelaide. Is Baker now the option? And he's standing next to Nick Dacos at this stoppage, that maybe the Tigers have made the move.
14 disposals later, the move has been made.
Yeah, it's 4 kicks, 10 handballs, but he's created so much. 7 contested possessions, the 5 ground ball gets we were talking about, a couple of inside 50s.
Set the running patterns as well for his team, and they've been happy to follow. McIntosh, a good win there in tight spaces, and he'll get the reward of the kick into the 50. Again, they're outnumbered deep. Bolter doesn't even go for it. The 2 posts ball each other. Guess who pops up with us? Clearing kick, Nick Dacos. The sliding mark is a good one for short.
I think it's a 6 score involvements for Nick Dacos as well. It'd be the most worrying sign for Adam Uze.
Floats it for Brown.
So they need another option going inside 50. Can't be bombing it long. Darcy Cameron set himself up there. Tom Brown looks like he might have the leg in him.
Hasn't kicked a goal this year. In fact, hasn't kicked an AFL goal. Tom Brown been moved forward over the last couple of weeks. Hasn't hit the scoreboard until now. Shows the confidence to go for it from 55 metres to make it a memorable first goal in AFL football. And that is worthy of every single Tiger to get there to share it with him.
Well, he knew straight away, didn't he? There wasn't any hesitation.
He's a lovely kick. He's a lovely kick, Tom Brown. And a high draft pick as well. And I reckon they've been searching for where they want to play him. He's working on his forward craft here, just a small lead up. This is the kick that the Tigers do need to take, is that they need to make sure that these sort of kicks actually draw that defense of Collingwood, which like to assist each other in the air, like to drop back and protect the goal face. And we see Darcy Cameron's been doing that already early in this quarter, but maybe it is shots from sort of 40 to 50 metres out, that one outside 50 from Tom Brown for his first AFL goal, that are going to be the necessity today to keep them in the game.
It's a handy asset if you are playing forward, isn't it, to have a range that expands beyond the 50.
That was at least a torpedo for me from there.
So the 2 goals they have kicked have been outstanding, and back within 18 points. Nick Dacos has not finished yet, though, with this first quarter. He's calling for it again as Jamie Elliott tries to make the right assessment. Crisp has also popped up, and Cameron's pushed forward. That extra challenge for the Richmond defence. Here's the kick, a 3-quarter number for Cameron. It was beautifully designed and executed, and Darcy Cameron more than happy to take the mark.
It's a real question for Adam Uze. Spoke about the 3 ruck options he was going to go with. Where that ball went is exactly where the ruck needs to be. It's where Darcy Cameron's been getting the other side of at the other end of the field.
I think Ben Miller probably tends to agree with you here as well, Nathan, that the fact that Noah Bolter there is at the top of the goal square. Even the other side, he needs to be in that lead lane, or a winger as well.
Or both.
He's really thrived as Collingwood's #1 ruckman. 6 goals, 2 for the season. Skips in from 35. Darcy Cameron, he knows straight away. And there's been quite a chasm in the end with the front half games of both teams as we head to quarter time. It's Collingwood 6-2-38, leading Richmond 2-2-14. First quarters have been their best quarters this year for Collingwood. They've won 11 and lost 7, and this is another one they can chalk up.
Yeah, so, I mean, your ruck gets forward and just ducks around the back there and puts himself in a really good spot. It's where he's just popped in there. Noah Bolter's just ahead of him, sort of 20 metres, trying to predict it. You just need to do your job, and this is a couple of young rucks coming up against the guy that's been a mainstay now for Collingwood for a while. Is that the out of Toby Nankervis, whilst it's important, Tigers are getting beaten in the clearances at the moment around the ground. The good ruckmen put themselves in the right spot most of the time.
That's 3 scores from centre bounce and 5 from back half. So Collingwood have just been damaging with time and space through their attacking part of the field, and being able to find targets inside 57 metres.
So what an impressive start for the Magpies, led by Nick Dacos, dominant out of the middle. And their smalls are buzzing around as well up forward. Dacos, 17 disposals, 2 goals to Dan McStay has been powerful. So Collingwood are trying to push to get in the finals race, or so are Hawthorn, and they are on the rampage. Adelaide, their opponent, later today.
For those who want to stop.
All right, there we go, folks. End of the first quarter here at the MCG. That's all Collingwood. They look on fire today. I'll tell you what, Richmond have got some troubles with a couple of players. Collingwood leading 6-2-38 to the Tigers 2-2-14. That's all of Collingwood. Let's have a look at some of these stats over here, some of the players' stats, and I think, well, let's just say I think Richmond have got to put a little bit of work into Nick Dacos. It's only the first quarter, folks, and he's already had 17 touches. 17 touches. That's what some players get for the full game, but he is, well, he's got the ball on a string. He's damaging across all parts of the ground. 6 kicks, 11 handballs, 2 marks. Tell you what, I think the 3 votes, Brownlow votes, are going to go in Nick Dacos' way so far, but both Dacos boys in the mix there for the Pies, and of course Scotty Pendlebury, the captain, kicking the first goal of the game. Bobby Hill's going pretty good as well. He just needs to put a couple of scores on the board to get his form back intact a bit. And of course, McStay, they're having trouble. Nick Floston's having not a bad game there for the Tigers. He's had 10. He's their best so far. He's had 9 kicks, 1 handball, 5 marks, 1 clearance. Daniel Rioli, just with the 8, he needs to lift a little bit as Shai Bolton, Jyden Short. Let's run down and have a look at some of the stats for your players there. Darcy Cameron's going very, very well there for the Magpies. Jamie Elliott, he's getting on his bike, doing plenty of running. This game is being played in open spaces, folks. Both teams are getting reasonably good run from their back line. Of course, Richmond having a little bit of trouble pinpointing their targets up forward, whereas Collingwood have been able to direct the ball, lower their eyes and find their targets a little bit better. Kicking reasonably accurate. Darcy Moore there, not too bad, having a reasonable game down back with his balls and his intercept marks. He's had a couple intercept marks there down the back line for his 4 possessions. Who else we got down here? Jack Crisp, he's just had the 4. Banks, Schultz with 3, a little bit quiet. Quaynar 3, a little bit quiet. Kaczynski there, he's a bit quiet there for the Tigers just with his 2. Side bottom hasn't done much there for the Pies. He's only had the 1 touch, as with Will Hoskin-Elliott for the Maggies, but he kicked that goal. There we go. So that is some of the stats for the first quarter. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the second quarter, folks. I think the Richmond coach really do have to put a little bit of time into Nick Dacos. They need to maybe put a tagger or 2 on him to try and stop him, because he's been extremely damaging around the grounds. Let's have a look at the team stats. And as we can say, the disposals are pretty even across the board, 85-89. Richmond are actually in front by 4, but it's the way the Magpies are using the ball with a lot more efficiency there. Kicks 51-52, handballs pretty much the same. Inside 50s, we'll have a look at this. The Magpies have gone inside 50 12 times for 8 scoring shots. Incredibly high percentage. And the Tigers, they've had plenty of chances. They've been inside their forward 50 14 times for only the 4 scoring shots. Disposal efficiency, as we can see, both teams extremely high. This, folks, you don't often see it, 80 and 82% the disposal efficiency for both sides. They're well above season average. Just going inside 50, their efficiency. Collingwood a fair bit better there at 66. Tigers need to lift a little bit in that area, 35%. Free kicks, 3-4, nothing much happening there. Umpires been a little bit quiet on the whistle. So look at the stoppages. Collingwood winning that 8-4. Darcy Cameron doing a good job there. Clearances, 11-6. Centre clearances, 5-3. Nick Dacos getting a few of those centre clearances. As I said, he's on fire today. looking likely that he possibly will get the 3 votes so far. Definitely best on ground at the moment. Stoppages, 6-3 to the Pies. Contested possessions there. Pies just got a few more, 31-23. Uncontested, Richmond by 13. Just doing a little bit of side kick, trying to get through the defence of the Magpies. Turnovers, 14 all. That's not too bad. That's actually reasonably low for this game. So they're both doing a good job there. 30-25 in the marks. Richmond on top there by 5. Marks inside 50. Collingwood well on top there. Richmond need to find their pinpoint targets down forward if they want to have any chance in this game. Contested marks 4-2. There we go. A few of the stats there. So some of the stats are reasonably even, but it's just that the Magpies are using the ball a lot better in hand. Ryan, how you going, Squire? Ali, how you going? You, Collingwood sucks? No, Collingwood rocks. We love Collingwood. Ryan, good luck with the Tigers today, but we're cheering for the Magpies. Anyway, folks, we're getting back down to the ground. The second quarter's about underway. Umpires got the ball in hand, ready to bounce. Let's enjoy the second quarter.
We'll keep an eye on him in the first 5 minutes here.
Lined up next to him here at this centre bounce.
That's PB for him, by the way. 18 and a quarter and 10 contested possessions, the same. So 7 score involvements. They've scored 8 times. So that does underline that his influence on this attack. Yep, he's inventive as well. Bolton out to half forward. Genuine one-on-one with Mansell. Pitted against Maynard. And out comes Kaczynski. And they work in sync. Although you can see he was devoid of options after that. Maynard. Crisps tossed up, which meant that everyone could get there. Vitale. Challenging traction for Schultz. Enables Bolton to come forward to Broad. Tough for Smith underneath there, the young Tiger.
Tigers just trying to generate their handball game again, but missed handballs or fumbles has been the thing that's cost them from actually breaking that first line of Collingwood defence.
Caleb Smith, a young West Australian, aged 19. Game 3 for him. Josh Dacos for Elliott. Went back in and tried to challenge Tresice.
Liam Baker with his head on his hands standing around Nick Dacos. He's going to be feeling that for the rest of the game if that's his role. But yeah, look, this game's going to play out. Richmond need to defend Collingwood's ball use a little bit better.
Elliott thought about it. Nick Dacos back to Cox. Unusual choice towards the goal square. Schultz and Dacos were both lining up. They both have a go. But the soccer, neither could hit the spot. Still the ball finds Nick Dacos even when he's not trying.
It's fascinating because he ran boundary from a block there, and you think he has no right to get the ball and just finds himself in the right spot. Then all of a sudden works forward and tries to kick a goal off the ground.
It's up slightly limping. Cox taps. And the Tigers with the sheer weight of numbers. Ralph Smith. Moore had the first look at this. Awkward for Kaczynski. He did pretty well. Not to give away the free, but Moore is bounding away with the footy. Sets it up high. No one really was able to leap at the ball. McStay didn't get the access he was after. Mansell topples over. Cox squeezes it through. Lipinski tries to weave, and he's crushed and caught.
And I like that interpretation. When a player tries to bust through a tackle and the tackle is effective, well, the tackler should get rewarded. So that, I reckon, in previous seasons, that's just called a ball up. I like the fact that there's a result from that contest.
Ryan, but it's Cameron. There's a whistle for the holding. And it's going to Kaczynski, so they will get out.
Had the spare there. Didn't need to hold Darcy Moore.
Bolter down the line on Moore, just drifts back.
Makes up for it though. At the moment, the Tigers don't look strong down the line. They've got playing that sort of three rucks is that you may be lacking a key forward at some point in time there.
Aggressive line to centre half forward. Cameron seems to be everywhere at the moment for Collingwood, both forward and back. Crisp finds a way to his feet. Awkward for Miller. Crisp just sits underneath there. Long, and now Crisp again. It's touched. Caleb Smith not going to be paid the mark and just absorbing the tackle.
That's the right way to play it, young fella. Yeah, just, it's a play on, take possession, and once again, draw the stoppage when you get the chance. No pride.
His first full game last week.
High contact.
Free kick. Go to Mason Cox.
Just to your point, Jack, contested marks are only 4-2 in Collingwood's favour, and there's been a little bit of bobbling at times. Dan McStay's taken a couple of those inside forward 50, so that's been exceptional. It's made a difference on the scoreboard. But you are talking about some young players in Ryan and also inexperienced ruckmen in Bolter and Kaczynski that are up against two experienced rucks.
Returning to the lineup this year, he's kicking for goal, which was usually pretty reliable. Has been a bit off this year, Mason Cox. 3 goals, 5. He won't add to that with that behind, and it's been the range where he's normally been pretty good at, sort of 15 to 40 metres out. That was maybe a little bit further, broad. So they've dodged one there, the Tigers. Kaczynski got access from the side. At least squared the contest in the air, but not on the ground. More to Bytel. Dacos still waiting for it. Now he gets it, but there's a throw.
Tigers are struggling to get over it halfway at the moment. Need to figure out what sort of offensive pattern they're going to be using.
He's pushing the line there, Nick Dacos. It almost could have been 50. Now through the middle. Rioli with a bounce. Thought about a second. How? Ball on the side again. Marks in front of Bolter. And quickly spots Maynard.
Collingwood's intercept game is looking a lot better today as well. Darcy Moore looks like he's up and about. Jeremy Howe with that intercept mark, and it does feed into the offense and the bounce off half-back.
Yeah, how quickly your mind can look ahead at Bucks, I think, about what Collingwood could still be this year. Elliott was waiting at the back. He was the closest man to goal for an age there.
It was critical that Ben Miller picked that up clean there because Jamie Elliott had sort of he just took the risk and the punt and said, I'm going to go forward. Any little soccer off the ground, he was walking right and goal.
Wasn't a bad risk, I think, to take.
It's one you should take as a forward.
Ryan and Cox. Elliott still on the move. Off to Pendlebury. One more over the top. And Hoskin Elliott just gets to relish the moment before kicking it into the third tier.
Did you ever get it higher than that, Jack? Get it into the top tier?
I couldn't kick it into the top tier. I used to try and kick it through to the corporate boxes there. But I'll tell you what else. I didn't get many forward 50 stoppage goals here, and this is just another element of that ruck domination at the moment from Cox and Darcy Cameron have been able to have over the young Tiger trio that are spreading the load there in the midfield. Jamie Elliott, he's such an amazing player at finding space, whether it be on the lead or at stoppage there. And Pendlebury, the nice little handball. And as a winger, it's good to... You don't get many opportunities to kick goals as wingers. And a handball, Joe the Goose over the top. Oscar Elliott, who was thrown back last week to give them some speed off the half-back line, plays sort of everywhere around the ground, half forward, wing and half-back, and sent a talk miles into the grandstand.
He might have been the fat side forward there, but yeah, you don't mind getting those every now and then. Easy to play forward when you're on your own in the goal square.
Close out to 30 points, Rioli, overworked off half-back. Uses short, and then a little wobbly number off the instep, mate. And awkward for McIntosh. He tries to get the handball back. Elliott was on the job, and so was Schultz. And they get overwhelmed by the numbers and the pressure.
They're just referring pressure at the moment. Richmond is that their play had 6 handballs in it, and they're 30 metres back from where it started. It's got to take the opportunity of someone either to step through the play or just kick the ball forward, get it into your own half.
Cameron. Long ready to tackle, so Hopper can't wriggle out of that one. And Muzo saying they just want to finish the year with spirit, play decent footy. And he said if they happen to finish off Collingwood's year, well, that'll be a bonus, but that's not the way it's looking at the moment. Magpies lead by 30. McIntosh. Lofted ball, more. Bolter's come late to this. Kazitsky. They all make their claims. And there's an out of zone umpire free kick paid here to Kazitsky.
On, yes.
Bolter demanding it in the pocket. Moore has him covered now. The ball still goes in their direction. And Moore. Oh, gee, Bolter. He does show his emotions, Jack, but he wanted it in a different space there and a bit quicker, mate.
Yeah, frustration there from Noah Bolter. He just gets swung forward, swung back. Spoke to him pre-game. I think he's at best as a back, but out of necessity playing forward at the moment.
Yeah, no Tom Lynch, obviously. No Dustin Martin up front. Impressive jump from Noble, but the handball wasn't as precise as he might have imagined. Dacos, side bottom. Here's McStay again. Miller makes the spoil. Schultz stands up. Rioli all over him. Lipinski. Rioli and Schultz and Hopper. Everyone in the neighbourhood.
I think the Tigers at the moment just too straight with their ball movement. It's either straight down the line. They need some courage to come off the line now, whether that's by a handball or a short kick. Try and access the fat side of the ground and expose Collingwood's defence.
Great to get the insights of Jack Revold and Nathan Buckley this afternoon. Collingwood not afraid to chain up the handballs there. Noble, and Pendlebury and Lipinski, and Pendles has almost kicked that one up the mine shaft. But in the end, it's out on the full. No.
Wow. How did that not go out in the full? But even there, from a Collingwood point of view, that starts to shift towards the middle of the ground. Pendlebury brings it back skinny again. It's actually use your access to... That's how you generate scores from your own D50, and something that Collingwood have done extremely well in the first quarter.
Richmond trying to work it out or manufacture Vlosten as a +1. He's very damaging in that role, makes it pretty hard to get through.
Few indiscriminate disposals. Bolton tries to change that. Short. McIntosh. Taranto just taking what's given over the top. Ryan hooks it back. Quaynor, tough bounce. Bypassed a couple. Well done, Bolter. Kazitsky. It slides closer to goal. Mansell made the run of it and finishing it off is Campbell. The goal was there. And with glee, puts it through. And the Tigers stay in it.
That was a real chaos ball that came in. Bounced over Quaynor, and then there was knock-on after knock-on. And that's probably the first time we've seen the Collingwood back six under some ground ball pressure. They've been able to sort of handle high balls in and handled them pretty well. But this is a more Richmond goal than what we've seen.
Yeah, we saw pre-game Hawthorn had the ability to get out the back of the Collingwood defence. And once you get your defender still side bottom there is running back towards goal, it puts so much pressure on, and the small forwards, this is where they love to hunt. So you can see Mansell was involved there. Tom Brown puts that pressure on him. Seth Campbell, who is an extremely quick player and has an important role to play today in terms of exposing Collingwood's defence on the goal side, was able to get onto it really quickly. So a few things still going right for the Tigers here. Like uncontested possession, they're trying to spread them at the moment. Inside 50s, Richmond actually lead inside 50s, but Collingwood's ability to score, every time they're going in is the thing that's keeping them in the game and getting them in front.
Campbell, one of 2 Tiger teenagers out there today, the boy from Tassie, his 9th goal. Pies on the move. Pendlebury apologises after that kick, but it sits all right for McStay. And Hill wasn't far away. Short thinking offence out of defence. Forward handball, Baker. One-on-one out there on the wing. Parker won the ball on its merits. And won it well. Gets it away from Brown. Stabs it in short. Miller on the counter to Ranto. Baker tries to go, but he runs aground.
You can see Liam Baker trying to create something from half back there, but the Collingwood pressure just too good.
Will Parker.
Outside 5.
Pendlebury had a lot of space and time to decide where to go next, and it's Bytel, the former Saint. This is the important one.
Move it on.
Richmond have given up this kick into the pocket a couple of times.
Bobby Hill's coming, and you know what he can do. Dacos, arms in the air celebrating. It was a lovely mark.
Once again, it was either going to go to the top of the goal square or it was going to be that short kick into the pocket. That's where the Richmond winger needs to be standing to make sure it's not a one-on-one.
Maybe that was a bit too cute. Looking to share it. Regretting it now. Baker steps in. Not sure of the wisdom of the first handball, but it does enable him in the end to get himself clear. Instead of that little bit further out, Ryan is hopelessly outnumbered there, though. He had no real chance. Interesting stand on the mark.
The Tigers trying to free up Nick Boston, but it's Quaynor at the other end that's been freed up by Collingwood due to the fact that Richmond are playing that extra spare behind the ball.
Not sure I've ever seen a player stand in that direction before on the mark. Josh Dacos places it for Bytel, so just rewind the tape a couple of minutes and we're in the same position. Different mode this time. The lead is from Long.
1 metre to the left.
Banks is the Richmond winger. You can see standing in that space before that was created for the Bobby Hill mark. I think that this potentially will probably go to the top of the goal square, so you've got to be alert there if you're a ruck.
Kicked a goal as a Hawk, but hasn't kicked one yet as a Magpie. Take a fair effort from right on 50, Ned Long. And that's more than a fair effort. Endears himself to the Magpie fans. We've seen some lovely long-range goals today, and that's just another one. 8-2-50, and it extends back to that 5-goal margin. Richmond 3-2-20.
Similar to Tom Brown when he went back, he was pretty confident in his ability to be able to finish that, and yeah, he's been likely. His work rate around the midfield is pretty strong. He's a big boy to be playing midfield. He's more up around your Paddy Cripps type size from what I can gather, but
he just got squeezed out at Hawthorn because they felt they had enough of those midfielders, but Collingwood sensing that he still had something to offer.
Well, midfielders that can finish like that, they're important, but the exponent of the short kick, 15-metre kick to 40 metres out is the thing I suppose the thing that stops sides that like to rotate and drop off and try and help. So using that gives you so much strength.
Mid-season pick was Ned Long. Taranto and Bolton, but nothing decisive. Mason Cox somehow gets it forward to Hoskin Elliott, a tumbler. Pendlebury on all fours, but doesn't stop him being so constructive and destructive. Dacos to Elliott.
Just ask the question is, how does Nick Dacos get goals on 10 metres at a contest like that?
He's politely calling for it on the inside too, is Nick?
He's only had 23 touches so far, halfway through the second.
Elliott's had 7 disposals for the day and 1 goal.
Pendlebury, the other one who's been able to get his hands on the ball, 13 touches so far for Scott Pendlebury.
11-4 from set shots this year, Jamie Elliott, along with 4 misses. They are kicking them from everywhere today, and that looked like it was going to be another one through.
Seth Campbell just went down the race with the physio. Not sure what for yet, but I'll chase an update.
Thank you, Rubes. Margin out to 31, which is a game high now for the Magpies. Ooh, short on the bounce. That wasn't part of the plans, but Miller tidies it, and they get it almost to the wing. Somehow it creeps over the top of the pack. Bolter. Noble stayed diligent. The pace, though, of Ralph Smith, affected as he kicked it by Noble, so the pressure was still there. Brown keeps it in, imagining that McIntosh might be able to beat Dacos for the footy, but he was pouncing. And Howe and Pendlebury and Maynard, they straddle the line. Now they're on the inside alone. Dacos had two there right at him. Great pressure and brilliant awareness from Baker. Brown can't quite get the finish.
Just don't know whether Noah Bolton needed to play on there. Took that mark from the kick in, and then Quaynor just positioned himself perfectly behind the ball. It's that one where if you take that mark, have a look, don't play on before you know what's ahead of you.
Vital was issuing the instructions, but they weren't quite on the same wavelength. And the Tigers able to win it back through Tresize, then into the middle, Daniel Rioli. Peering deep into the 50. Tries to change the angle a little bit. Now they lead out. Cox tried to reel it in. On the move again, Baker. McIntosh onto the left. That doesn't quite come together.
So repeat entries here for Richmond, which has been a scarcity already in this game. This is where they need to build their strength and try and score when they're taking it inside 50. It's the one thing that Collingwood have been able to do really well today is when they have taken it in there, they have scored.
Campbell back out there. Thompson Dow is the sub, which may be a little bit surprising, but just getting squeezed out with most of their prime mids available. Dacos to Maynard. Jamie Elliott again. Off the outside of the boot, he skids one forward. Precise, umpire deeming he ducked, and it could be a big penalty now. Although Schultz's hand pass was generous, straight to Broad. Elliott does his best to win it back. Nice work initially to win it from Precise, but Pendlebury to Elliott. One more disposal. No, Bobby might just shepherd it all over the line. He's got boot to ball, and that was the result that they were after all along. Hill stuck the boot in, and the Magpies have 8 goals now to the Tigers 3, and the lead expands to 37. Bobby Hill, right from the start, set the tone, and that's his first goal.
It wasn't pretty, Bucks, was it?
There was about 5 or 6 turnovers in 15 seconds there, and Tresize was, clean, and he won a couple of good ground balls, but then gave the ball up with a couple of errant handballs, another one here that ultimately put Pendlebury in space. And as soon as you've got the ball in the hands of a Scott Pendlebury there, when there's been a little bit of to and fro, and even here,
even that was hard.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a beautiful goal. We can't claim that at all, but in the end, just a couple of smart decisions in time and space, because there were 2 or 3 Collingwood forwards that were 30 metres goal side of that contest after we'd had that ping-pong footy, and inevitably they were the ones that scored.
It was doing plenty too, wasn't it, off the boot for Jamie Elliott. Cameron with the tap over his head. Dacos, the prod was all that's required. To Bytel, to Cameron. He puts length into it. Boston's left his man, but the spoil is made effectively anyway by Miller. Crisp lost control of the situation when he lost his footing. We have the ball.
A couple of instances here of Bobby Hill, who's playing the deepest forward at the moment for Collingwood. Looks like he's going to go and attend a contest and then just ducks out the back. The Tigers have got to be really careful that he doesn't get out the back like he did before.
Cox to Pendlebury. Side bottom. Noble looking for someone with space. Ralph Smith predicted, but he overplayed his hand. Bytel gets a look. And that drifts.
That's worrying signs for Richmond. Forward 50 stoppages at the moment. Collingwood look to be getting too many clear runners. Their patterns inside 50 from those have opened up a couple of scoring opportunities. Not usually a really high scoring source. Stoppages inside 50, so alarm bells for Richmond.
Strong performance from Bytel. 13 disposals so far for the former Saint. Up to the wing. Kazitsky leap. Howard was with him. Another ball up.
Collingwood had 4 clearances from forward 50 stoppages for 1 goal 1, so it's a pretty good return when you can find that the ball that easy in your forward 50, but they're doubling the clearances at the moment against Richmond around the ground.
Daniel Rioli also getting repairs down there. Hopefully he's okay.
He looked pretty sore. He was jumping on his ankle before, but definitely grimacing when he was testing it out. Went for a little jog, so it doesn't look 100%, but we'll see.
38 points between Collingwood and Richmond, and percentage could still be very important for the Magpies to sneak into 8th.
think that probably was dropping the ball there.
Probably. We had a better view of it than the
I
umpire.
might have been blindsided here. It's interesting, this contest at the moment around the stoppages. Collingwood are shifting their plays at the last second to change the matchups, trying to make it Dacos sort of one-on-one.
And they're urging from Craig McRae at close proximity to all of that. And Dacos again, a little pop handball. Forward goes side bottom. He got close to Bolter. That's all he could manage with the kick. Lost it head over it, as you'd expect. Hopper drew it out of there. Good work at close quarters by the Tigers. McIntosh with the kick. This is Mansell. One more give over the top. Made Kaczynski a bit of a sitting duck. Howe lingered with the tackle. Not enough for the umpire to blow the whistle and stop Quainer in his tracks. Instead, it's a high ball. McStay against 3 Tigers. Bolton just off the bench. Full of energy. Picked up, though, by Miller. Threads the handball. Nice bit of reverse action from Baker. Bolton still coming. Tracked it all the way. What's he got for us?
Good tackle.
It's more what did Cameron have for him.
Yeah, it's a great open field tackle there from the ruck against a smaller, agile type player. I think the worrying sign for Richmond as well is that Nick Lawson, who dominated that first quarter for him, had 10 possessions and 3 intercepts. Has had 1 disposal this quarter.
Cameron. He's had plenty of the footy as well. Nicely taken by McIntosh. Swings the kick aggressively into the middle. That's okay. Caleb Smith, as they work their way right across half back. A bit of a floater. Short. Hoskin Elliott, since there was a chance, he was about to make the great escape. Bobby Hill has time and space, and with those attributes, you know that what is coming next is going to work to your team's advantage. Schultz to liner.
Will Hoskin Elliott, as a fat side defender, is as good as they get. He's got great closing pace, and he positions himself really well. So the ball carrier thinks that he finds the target, but he gives himself enough rope, I suppose, to go and cut it off. Was able to get that turnover, and then Bobby Hill, that little inside kick is trained and practiced and well executed.
Concussion that he missed last week, Lockie Schultz. I'm sure there's still some effects with a kick like that. You'd expect better. He's had a 4 and a 3 this year, Lockie Schultz, but his goal average just down a little bit on his last year at Freo.
I believe it's a behind. Can check the ball hit the post.
I don't think it hit the post, did it?
Is it behind? Please confirm if it's hit the
Both
post.
hands in the post.
I didn't think
Review underway.
Smack bang in the middle of it.
I was thinking he thought he hit it first.
I think we can be pretty confident either way. It's a behind.
Review complete. Look at this angle. We can see the ball hits the goal post. Decision on scoreboard.
Jambo, just Dave's off over here.
I'll adjust to the post there, Bucks.
Sneak it and pick that up.
All clear?
Rock and roll it. Once again, though, Bobby Hill, in the lead up to that play, was able to get out the back. Richmond has sort of struggled today in terms of getting it out from these kick-ins. Been short to the pocket and then long to the contest, which Collingwood have been able to dominate.
Tigers with an injury list too long to mention. Jordan De Goey for Collingwood was an out, of course, over the weekend after initially being named in the team. And I'm sure he'll want to be back if he can next week for Scott Pendlebury's 400th game against Carlton. How big is that one going to be, individually and collectively? Smith gives it straight back to Long.
There's a two-way one if he wants it.
Yeah, screaming for it. But it's had to wait a moment or two. Still in the goal square. Into the pocket is where it heads, and it all gets a bit untidy. Dan McStay is screaming his guts out in the goal square. He's calmed down now.
Yeah, Bobby Hill and Dan
forwards
McStay.
to lose now. Calls it.
Calm measure types of units.
That's 50. So a leg up for Prestia. 3 minutes 30 remaining.
Can't just blaze away here. Collingwood have set themselves up behind the ball well.
He went short for Ioli. Crisp on the mark. Plays it wide for Campbell. On the run this time. Tails away.
Not the best entry. Just came off the side of the boot a little bit. I don't know whether he was thinking shot on goal or not, but I've really enjoyed Campbell's run, throughout this season. He's found gaps through the forward half of the field. He's been able to finish often enough. He's a likely type going forward.
Season best 19 disposals last week. Kicked 1 goal to Seth Campbell. His debut at the start of the year on the Gold Coast. Kicked 2 in that game. Short. And Moore got the better of Bolter early, but he didn't quite finish the work off. So the behind gets rushed.
Just that's probably why I think Noah Bolter's a better player behind the ball, is that he's not being dictated to. Actually, I like him with his position behind Darcy Moore. So he needs to find that if he's playing forward, try and play to his strengths. Try and get him behind Darcy Moore to then be able to jump and run at the ball.
Oh, nice ups there from Nathan Broad.
It's another re-entry for the Tigers here. Got to think their way through the way they're moving the ball inside 50. Find the option that they like. Samson Ryan close in the pocket.
13 to 10, the inside 50s. Flying was Jeremy Howe. Send it back over the boundary line and out of bounds. So it's 3 goals, 3 to 1-2 for the quarter. Well, that's
Collingwood
a 37-point lead.
They do, and Collingwood have been able to get their front game going a little. They've had 10 or 8 front half turnovers this quarter, so a little bit more of that, territory game that's worked from the second quarter compared to the first.
Chris first, then Bolton. He runs the ground too.
Talk about grabbing an arm. I mean, if that arm wasn't grabbed, then you wouldn't be able to affect the tackle well. So it's a fine line, and given the laws of the game today.
Itel just jams it. Cox side bottom to McStay. Tigers on the job, prepared to go back into reverse to find a bit of space for Floston. Rel Smith, those overtures on the outer side, takes the grab. Shea Bolton is long with no one on him. He's screaming for it, but it would take an amazing kick to find it. That's better percentages to Bolter.
Well, it didn't get to Shea Bolton, but Darcy Moore knew Shea Bolton was there, so he sort of sat off a little bit, thinking that he might have to go back to impact that contest with Bolton, and it was Noah Bolter, his direct opponent, was then allowed to lead up.
Oh, we've seen some beautiful long-range goals at the other end of the ground.
A big kick.
Noah Bolter at his 100th, goes back confidently.
He could do anything.
To the city end of the MCG. Don't think that's going to get the required. It's gone over everyone's head. There's a whistle, it's a hold, and it's a Tiger free in front of goal, so that'll work.
He's got a few today. Kaczynski's found himself in a couple of aerial contests and fought through what could be a 2v1. He's had the undersized Jeremy Howe, who obviously is extremely good in the air still, but the Tigers need this one.
5 years at Hawthorn, and this is his 10th game for the Tigers. 8 goals, 4 coming in, and it's a simply must. And he should just be able to pop it through, which he does, just. And Richmond gets some reward for those repeat inside 50s. And it's 3 goals to 2 for the quarter, and the margin is 31 points.
Yeah, they had the access to the lead-up, which was Noah Bolter, who thought he had the shot there. But you can just see there, Jeremy Howe getting caught, just grabbing Kaczynski around the waist. Both players locked up there. It's just that one as soon as they fall to ground there, and sort of grabbing to prevent yourself, one, from falling down, but also to stop your opponent from marking the ball there. So, look, at the moment, the Tigers, that's a nice little patch of sort of 3 minutes. Hutto, that they've been able to keep the ball in their forward 50, keep the ball in their forward half, and have re-entries, and you can see the ramifications of the live ladder. There's so much riding on.
Look at the percentage race between Collingwood and Melbourne, and those, and potentially the Hawks around them as well. So the last 40 seconds. Can Richmond jab another? Quick kick from Presti gives them that opportunity. Baker, they surge past. He goes to the inside. It's a flying shot from Hopper, which never looked online, and it's missed the whole damn lot.
That's the second time Jacob Hopper's been able to run through 50. They're just not kicking with conviction at the goal there. Certainly had the distance, just not the accuracy.
Yeah, it's a shame from a Richmond perspective, but it's a nice buffer for Collingwood. 31 points. That's a fine grab again from Broad. And back they go to full forward. One last test. Bolter through his fingers. McIntosh had the shot himself, and it slides on through. So Richmond do get the late. The last 2 goals of the quarter belong to Richmond, and their fans have something to wave the flags and cheer about on a chilly day at the MCG. It's a 3-goal each second quarter, and Nathan Broad's been a part of keeping that ball in the front half of late.
Yeah, that intercept type player, which we've known Nathan Broad to be for quite a period of time now, but it's opportunistic from the Tigers. You think a minute ago they're sitting back with a 37-point deficit, and all of a sudden a couple of quick goals just before half-time here puts it back into a margin that's still manageable. And I'm sure Craig McRae would be pulling his hair out down on the bench there. They've given up 2 really quick ones, but for Richmond it's the process of centre-forward footy. It's the strength and where that lies. Camden McIntosh playing as a pseudo-forward as well.
2-time premiership player. Game 1 6-6 as a key forward.
Holding, Dacos, Collingwood.
Of sorts. Siren sounds, so Collingwood have done so much right and have clearly been the best team. But Richmond with a couple of late goals, just enough to make them nervous. Nick Dacos slowed down in that quarter, only 8 for the second term, but he's been incredible in the game with 26 to half-time. What a season of footy we're having. Collingwood still trying to make their run for finals. And on Monday night, Kath Lockton joins Robbo, and it's coaches' night as always, and premiership teammates Damien Hardwick and Jared Schofield are the guest. And then the dissection continues with Gaz, Bucks and Brownie, and a wink from Nathan on the couch.
To your kind of thing.
All right, there we go. Half-time, folks. And the game's back on. Can you believe it? The game is back on. The Magpies came out in the second quarter, doing what they did in the first, but Richmond in that final, 8 minutes, they had the play and they kicked a couple of late goals which brought it back to a 25-point margin. So Collingwood kicked 2 goals, 3 in the second quarter to, 3 goals, 3 in that second quarter to the Tigers, 3 goals, 2. So the Pies only won that by 1 point. A lot better effort by the Tigers, of course, as Ryan's saying. They lack a little bit of leadership, but Shai Bolton's trying his best, and a couple of the other Tigers players there trying hard. I just think they miss a forward target, really, a big forward target down in their forward line. That being said, they brought the game back into a little bit of their way of play, which is good. Still an open game here, still an open, fast-paced game. Let's have a little bit of a look at the players' stats now as they stand at half-time. Nick Dacos there leads the way, of course, with 26 after his massive opening quarter of 17. It's at 9 disposals in the second quarter. Could we be seeing a 50-possession game from a player today? That would be quite incredible to see. 12 kicks, 14 handballs for Nick Dacos, 3 marks, 1 tackle, 7 clearances. He's having a great game. Jaden Short lifted up there for the Tigers. He's now on 17 touches. He's had 11 kicks, doing well. 6 handballs, 4 marks, 1 tackle. Scotty Pendlebury playing his role. Collingwood captain there for 17. 5 kicks, 12 handballs, 3 marks, 6 clearances. He's having a day out, the old boy. Dan Rioli, he's going all right there for the Tigers, trying to give him a little bit of a run through there, trying to lift him. He's had 16, 7 kicks, 9 handballs, 3 marks, 1 tackle, 2 clearances, doing quite well. Jack Bytel, not too bad for a new fella for the Pies. Nathan Broad, 14 for the Tigers. Josh Dacos, a little bit quiet in that second quarter with just 13. Nick Voston with 12. Caden McIntosh, he's doing pretty good there for the Tigers with 12. He's kicked a goal. As we run down, Liam Baker, probably need a little bit more out of him in the second half for the Tigers. Richmond surging, says Chris. They were in that second part. That being said, I think Collingwood have been pretty dominant throughout the game. Maybe they're just taking a little bit easy. Just need to put that hard pressure back on. We'll see what happens. But, that being said also, Richmond have done well. Good job, because they were 37-odd points down in that second. Got those late couple of... It's amazing what a couple of late goals will do. So that'll be interesting to see how Richmond respond in the second half. Will they come out running will they keep that momentum going after the ball is bounced for the third quarter? That we will see. Should be pretty good. Darcy Moore's having a good game there today. A little bit more like the old Darcy Moore, floating across the intercept marks. He's had 3 of those. He's had 10 touches, 6 kicks, 4 handballs. Jamie Elliot's always on his bike. He's having another pretty good game. We'll see if he opens up a little bit more. Hey, Christopher, how you going? You're at the footy watching Auskick. Good stuff. The Auskick is on now. Good stuff. You know, I played Auskick. I was in the middle of the ground back in my younger days. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? But I think I played Auskick for Fitzroy. That was the team I played for in my area. So, you know, it was good stuff being in front of a big crowd. Jacob Hopper there with 9. Bobby Hill, he's alive. He's going all right, Bobby Hill. Just needs to do a little bit more. But still, he's having a good game. Hitting up his targets pretty well with his 9 touches, 8 kicks, 5 marks. So he's finding a little bit of space for him. Darcy Cameron having a great game there for the Pies with his 9 touches, 8 kicks, 1 handball, 3 marks, 1 tackle, 19 hit-outs, 1 clearance. He's kicked a goal, not too bad. Daniel McStay, he was reasonably well held there in the second from the Tigers' back line. He did well. He's still got the 2 goals there off his 8. Jack Crisp, well, he's having a little bit of a quiet one too with just the 8. Braden Maynard, also a quiet one with 8, with 7. Still side bottom, only 5 possessions in that second quarter. He needs to lift. He needs to start to run a little bit harder for the Pies. Kaczynski with 5, he's kicked a goal for the Tigers. Banks also 5 possessions with a goal for the Tigers. As we go down to have a look at the rest of the stats, let's have a look at the goal scorers. Daniel McStay for the Pies, Hoskin, Elliott lead the way on 2 goals each for the Magpies. They're the leading goal scorers so far on the ground up until half-time. Scotty Pendlebury, the opening goal scorer, he kicked 1. McIntosh 1 for the Tigers as Kaczynski, Campbell, Brown and Banks, and the other singles for the Pies were Long, Bobby Hill, Jamie Elliott, and of course Darcy Cameron. The AFL points, Nick Dacos still leads the way on 78 if you're in the fantasy points game. Jaden Short 67, 66 from Nathan Broad. All right, let me just have a listen what they're...
Quarter Dan McStay, very vocal.
All right, let's just go back down to the ground. The commentators are having a bit of commentary on the game so far, and then we'll come back to the team stats.
This season for a whole game, so they've really used that area better. They've been more efficient going inside. They're actually lowering their eyes and looking for players, but as I said, there's more opportunities to do so as well.
They've been able to score from stoppage as well, Buck, such a crucial element of their game.
Yeah, they've dominated stoppage, and Cameron and Cox are experienced ruckmen, premiership ruckmen, and they're taking Ryan Kaczynski and Bob to the task at the moment. 4 goals, 3 from stoppage to 1. They've doubled their clearances, and that's given them far more opportunity. Some of those stoppages in the front half, but 2 goals, 1 of that 4 threes come from centre bounce, and it was all in the first quarter.
Well, we know Collingwood need to go on and win this one. Their finals hopes hang in the balance because Hawthorn, one of the sides that is chasing, and they've got a tough task against the Crows at Adelaide Oval.
All right, so I thought they were going to say a little bit more, but we'll come back to the commentators not too far away when they're back on, talking a little bit more about the game. Let's have a look at some of these team stats as they go up until half-time. 184, 186, there we go. See, she's a pretty even game in the disposal count. The kicks only one the difference, only 3 the difference in the handball. Both sides using the ball pretty well the same way. Inside 50s now, 25 to the Pies. They're on season average. A little bit up on Tigers, by a couple, a little bit over the season average for them. 25 inside 50s for the Pies for 14 scoring shots. So they're going at a pretty good rate there. 27 insides for the Tigers for 9 scoring shots. Disposal efficiency, 70 and 78, so the Tigers are still keeping that pretty high percentage, which is a good sign for the Tigers. The Pies dropped off by 10% in that second quarter. Inside 50 efficiency. The Pies still going pretty good at 64. The Tigers, they've lifted that. They're up to 44 now. So that's always a good sign, being efficient inside their 50. Of course, the Tigers 3 ahead on the free kicks. But no free kicks that I've seen so far have impacted this match at all, at any stage. That's what we like to see. Stoppages, the Pies are winning their hit-outs there by a good margin, 25-9. I think Richmond have just got a couple of young ruckmen in against the old-timers at the Pies. Clearances, 23-14 Pies way. Nick Dacos doing a bit of the damage there. Centre clearances, 8-6. Only 2 by the Pies, so the Tigers are holding their spot there quite well. Stoppage clearances, 15-8, Pies by 7. Contested possessions, 71-55. Pies doing it a little bit better there in that range. Uncontested, 126-105. Tigers lead that way. Turnovers, 33 each of 2. Okay, the game's pretty even, folks. Even though the scoreboard says it's a 25-point margin to the Maggies. So it's just the way they're using the ball a little bit better. Marks, 43-51. Richmond on top of the marks. Inside 50 marks. Collingwood well on top, 11. They're already past their season average with 11. So that's really good. Really good for the Pies. If you're a Pies supporter, happy to see that. Marks inside 50 for Richmond, just the 2. So the Pies defence holding up well, not giving Richmond the opportunity there. 5-4 in the contested marks. Let's have a look at the tackles. Both tackling reasonably well there, 26-23. Tackles inside 50 for 1. 1%ers. Pies doing a little bit more in the 1%ers. And let's head back up. Let's just go and have a little bit of a look while I just round that up the top. Let's just go and have a look at the ladder. Now that is the live ladder. So this is the ladder pre-game where Collingwood was sitting on 13th on 36. Richmond down the bottom on 8 points, 2 wins for the season. You know, as I said to a couple of the folks in the chat before, I think it's a win-win for both teams if Collingwood win and Richmond lose. So if we stick the live ladder on, Collingwood will jump up to 40 points, only a half a game outside the top 8, still keeping in contention for a finals race. As I said, I think it is now 8th position that'll be up for grabs. Possibly the top 7 could be nearly set, depending if the Bulldogs and Hawthorn lose today, then the top 7 are probably there. It's just that final position. If the Pies win, they've still got a sneaky chance to make the 8, although they've got a very tough run home the final 5 games. And Richmond down the bottom, you know what I was saying? If you finish on bottom, you do get the better draft picks. So I think that is key for Richmond. I think Richmond will be very happy to lose every game for the rest of the season. Although the fans won't like that, I think they can appreciate what they're trying to do. But that being said, you can lose your games, but you still want to play well and be accountable. You know, you still want to have reasonably good form going to the end of the season. Even if you are losing, doing things right, changing things up, bringing in some new players, trying them out, blood them prior to the start of the second season, of the new season, I should say, for the following year. Richmond need to do that. Of course, they've got a few of their stars out, have the Tigers, which never helps. There we go. Looking over into the chat. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody in today. Good to see. We've had a few people in. Don't forget to, if you like the game, folks, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Give it a big like. That always helps. Only got 5 likes there for 26 people in the house. So appreciate a like on the stream. And don't forget if you want to vote, put your vote in to who wins the game. We've got the poll there happening with Collingwood and Richmond. Who wins today on that poll? So far, we've got 45 votes in. 78% of the vote have gone Collingwood's way. 22% have gone for Richmond's way. But it's only half time. There's plenty of gameplay left to play here in this match between Collingwood and Richmond. So it's still anyone's game if the Tigers come out firing like they left the second quarter. They did well. They got those late goals. If Tigers put on a couple of quick goals, it's game on. Make no mistake about that. It's always a good game between Collingwood and Richmond. The fans love it. No matter where they sit on the ladder, it's always a great, great game that we love to watch and listen to and be a part of. But Christopher Pempton, it's cold. It's cold. He's at the footy. He's watching the little kids in the Oz Kick at the moment. Good stuff. Tell you what, I played Oz Kick, as I was saying. Yeah, but that was back in the day when Fitzroy was around. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? But it was good fun, good fun. But yeah, at least it's not raining. At least I can't see it raining at the ground, which is a plus because we did have forecast it was going to rain all day here in Melbourne. So yeah, we're definitely glad, we're lucky that there is no rain at the moment, just a little bit cloudy. So yeah, should be in for a good, and it looks like there's a reasonably good crowd there. I'm not sure, Christopher, if they've mentioned the crowd there at the moment, but it probably does look somewhere up around the 55,000 mark there for the crowd at the game today there at the MCG. But the one good thing the Richmond Tigers get a draft pick, says Ryan. Absolutely, Ryan, I agree with you. Astira Brestovok, thanks for coming in. Appreciate that. Nikki, how you going? Bianca, my wife, I love you. I will support you forever. Good stuff, Nikki. Shouting out the wife there. Good. Thanks, Arlo, for coming in. Chris, good stuff. The other big match will be on not too far away. Of course, that's the league ladder. The ladder leaders, Sydney versus the Bulldogs. That'll be a good game. You know, I think. You know what? I think the Dogs might be able to get the job done over the Sydney Swans. But I am hoping, AFL football. I sub. Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Good stuff. Enjoying the footy, I hope. Yeah, getting back to that game, I'm actually hoping, and all the teams down mixing in for that 8th spot, they're all hoping Sydney win that game today. And I think they're all hoping Adelaide win that game over Hawthorn today. So it's only going to be a half a game between probably 4 to 5 teams vying for that spot in the top 8, that final 8th spot. But the season is certainly taking shape as we see it, as it unfolds. But we've got some fantastic final, around about 5 weeks to go of the home and away season, where anyone could make the top 8. Should be great. We're not too far away, folks, from the bounce of the ball to start off the 3rd quarter. Only a couple of minutes away. As soon as the commentators get back on line, we'll hand it back over to them and they can take us into the 3rd quarter here at the MCG. I forgot to ask Christopher, who are you following there? Are you following the Magpies or are you following the Richmond Tigers? I should have asked that question. And we could see who's going for who. We know Ryan's going for the Tigers. He's a Tiger supporter. Arlo there, he's a Brisbane supporter. I think he'd be quite happy. I think Brisbane are looking likely, I think, to be the ones to beat this year for the flag. They're coming into great form at the right time of the season. All things going well for them. And they had a great win against the Gold Coast Suns when it was the Gold Coast Suns home game yesterday. The Gold Coast haven't been beaten up there this year, up until yesterday when the Brisbane Lions defied all odds and took out that win in a cracking game yesterday. All right, we are back down on the ground We'll take you back to the commentators now. We're under a minute before the bounce of the third quarter. We'll let them take it away from here. Enjoy the third quarter here. The match, Collingwood versus Richmond, where the Pies lead by 25 points.
Checkers.
Particularly high, though, wasn't really the bar.
Oh, come on, Hutto.
It's not about the result, Hutto. It's about the technique.
It's about the process.
Come on.
The process. All right.
Speak the language.
Well, still side bottom, and Scott Pendlebury have been working through the process Bucks together for 301 games, and it's just amazing, as you see. They're closing in on McLeod, Tyson Edwards, Joel, and Tom, who 305 times turned out for the Cats. What a combination they've been, and he was a few years ahead, wasn't he, Pendles? But they've shared so much together.
Yeah, still came in 2010, and yeah, they've been able to, they haven't missed a lot of footy. And see, our mate here was in that matchup with Trent Cotchin. How was it lining up with someone that many times? You get sick of him?
I think when you didn't play with them, it became really weird.
Yeah.
Because you're used to them so much being there that it becomes really, really weird. It'd be fascinating to see if they do get to that record of McLeod McLeod
and Edwards.
And Edwards, sorry, I was going to say Stingline there for a second.
They got sick of each other, didn't they? That's the rumour. Darcy Moore's had 8 intercept possessions. He hasn't had 8 in a whole game since round 12. Last time they did that was the Western Bulldogs. So
I think it's system, but also when he plays on someone, he actually is a bit, like it sounds silly, he's a better defender. He uses them as the starting point. So today it's been Bolter and a bit of Kaczynski.
He looks to me like he's adjusted his mentality. Man first and then go to ball second. And it's been a while coming, been effective.
Jamie Elliott at full forward for Collingwood. Noah Bolter for Richmond. We're into the third quarter. Can the Tigers take the momentum they got before the break into the second half? Yeah, you saw Bolton suggesting that would be the case to the umpire, and Prestia gets the reward for the tackle.
So one thing that I noticed when we're down at half time, the conditions are really blustery. You're up in the commentary box or in the stands. On the field, so blustery, which is why I think we've had a lot of broken play.
Hopper found a little way. It's a sneaky kick to goal and was being guarded by side bottom.
Did notice you're worried about the conditions down there, Bucks, about your hair?
I was more worried about Jonesy's hair.
Well, I've got the audio to say that you're worried about your own hair.
I was just going down with her. I was just trying to help her along, We're in this together.
Noble takes off. Darcy Cameron at full stretch.
Yeah, this first 5 minutes will be instructive, as you said, Hutto. Those late 2 goals for Richmond, show that there's still fight in them. And you want to put some pressure on the Collingwood back 6 as much as you can and see what damage you can do in the first part of this quarter.
Campbell has a watching brief on Nick Dacos. At this stoppage, at least.
About 5 handovers just happened there for Collingwood.
Both ruckmen stumble and bumble, but Ryan stayed on his feet. Bolton. High ball again. Kaczynski approached it, so did Bolton. Moore with the spoil. Quainer. Nick Dacos. Snatched back by Brown.
He'd love to have that one back. It was a half stepper, but he had possession. He probably had a metre of space, which you normally don't find at forward 50. He closes down fast. Wasn't quite able to make the most of that.
Maynard deemed to have played on, so Bolton closes the gap a little. Oscar Elliott Mercurial, and Hill is off, and so are the Magpies. Short to McStay. Harrison is deep, but they're going back through Schultz instead to Bobby Hill. Maybe one possession too many in the chain.
You can see what they were trying to do there. Bobby Hill was out, and as we've already seen today, as soon as he gets going, oh dear.
An apology issued immediately from Froston.
Don't think you saw still side bottom there, Nick Froston.
Wasn't in the calculations.
It's moments like that, though. You come off 2 goals just before halftime from a Richmond point of view. You have a shot at the other end through Jacob Hopper, and then you give up an easy one like this.
Steele's been in the goals of late after not kicking a goal since the grand final until a couple of weeks ago. Gone 1-2. And this for his first of the afternoon today. It's a close run thing with the post. Wrong side.
Back on the wing today after having a stint at half-back. Josh Dacos is taking that role, giving a little bit more run off that high defensive post, but still side bottoms owned the wing for the majority of his 300-plus games.
More cautious this time, Nick Foster. Ben Miller demanding it back on this side, arms flapping away, but he ignores those. Darcy Moore, Cameron, Hopper. Spin from Nick Dacos. Had them in a spin, but then well contained. So maybe Campbell does have that role.
That's a great win if, in fact, he does.
Watch out. Bobby with a lunge. And what a lunge it was. Oh, just to add to the hurt.
I reckon getting run down from behind is not a great feeling at the best of times. When you are one of the fastest players in the AFL, as Bolton is, it probably smarts a little bit more. Bobby Hill had the momentum, but that was a great chase. Like, two great tackles there, one from Campbell and the square up from Bobby Hill.
Just completely oblivious, wasn't he, to what was coming his way. So as we mentioned earlier, Bobby Hill's set shotting or his overall shots for goal haven't been as pure as they were last year, but gets a good look at it here from directly in front. For his second goal of the afternoon. Kicked 2 last week to take the Magpies out to a 32-point lead. Good looking, smooth approach, and as a result, the smiles are wide at the MCG for the Collingwood fans as they get around Bobby. And the lead goes back beyond 5 goals.
I think Shea Bolton just thought there was no one on the ground that could chase him down, and one of the men out there that possibly has the same speed as Shea Bolton was Bobby Hill. Snuck right up on him there, and then young Seth Campbell went to throw the ball back and just didn't get it back to Bobby Hill on the full, which is of course 50 metres. It's just this, Richmond had momentum early on, a couple of inside 50s early on in this third quarter, and then to give up one they've lost in kick out, which was a side bottom point, but then the ill-disciplined 50-metre penalty for a Bobby Hill goal. He's someone who's been in patches really good today, but I'm sure Collingwood supporters would like to see more of Bobby Hill.
Ryan and Cameron. A second time to Pendlebury. Runs into Rioli. Baker turned his body. Ryan got down. Schultz, a couple of goes at it. Success. Hill, Bytel, Hill. On the move, Elliott, but grander plans. Spearing ball for Schultz. Brilliant work. There was no margin for error on that kick whatsoever. Yeah, Schultz can line them up.
Lucky not to be 50 there. I think Baker was a bit aggressive at that one after he wasn't involved in the contest, and then knocked Schultz over after the mark. But just watching Seth Campbell from that centre bounce as a half forward, there's no doubt that he was eyeballing Nick Dacos off and made an absolute beeline for him. So we should expect that matchup will be in place for the next 10 or 15 and see how effective it is.
19 goals, 16 for the season coming in today. This for his first of the afternoon, which he delivers. Becomes the second pie to get to 20 goals this season. It's taken a lot of exploratory work from the coaches to find the functioning forward line with so many injuries, but that one is enjoyed, isn't it, in the forward line?
Yeah, certainly. It's been fascinating watching the involvement of Lachie Schultz at Collingwood, come across highly touted, and you think he would have fit them perfectly. This is why you want to get Bobby Hill involved in the game. He changes the angles, which that little duck inside just shifts everything from a defensive point of view for Richmond, and Schultz was involved in that original contest. That's his high work rate that he's been known for over his career, and then just the ability to get forward. This kick was absolutely perfect. And you're probably right, Bucks. There's a little bit of frustration, I think, from Liam Baker. Maybe there was a 50-metre penalty, but it didn't matter with Schultz finishing nicely.
It's a much more dangerous front half today, isn't it?
Look at that, 13 marks inside 50 to 2.
You're getting the results, as you know, but just the way it looks. And a few pieces back over the last couple of weeks. Hop up to the outside. Bytel and Ralph Smith both have had their moments today. Pendlebury just kept on tracking it all the way. So did Dacos. To half forward, even numbers. Elliott, the early ride. And you know that he'll hang. Pops it into the middle. Charging through Bolton, the thought goes hard. Schultz throws his head back looking for the free. Doesn't get it. Chris with one hand. Schultz can't get away out. Bolton with sheer determination was going to hunt and hunt and hunt.
Fair grab there by Jamie Elliott. What's that big game?
About his 4th best for the year only.
It doesn't make his top 100.
Yeah, he and Howie have had an internal contest for the best part of the last decade.
Yeah, Bobby, you had a crack at it Marvel too,
Yes.
don't worry.
To Taranto, but no pace
Quite
on the play from the Tigers.
He's been quiet today, Taranto. Only the 9 possessions coming back off injury, off the head knock.
Yeah, off concussion, so it can affect for a little longer than some expect. Wobbly ball, Campbell timed it well. Here's Banks, and the obvious next option was this new Tiger spearhead, this young fellow we've heard so much about, Campbell McIntosh.
Well, as we saw, that's just the third Tigers mark inside 50. So it was probably the most constructed build-up that we've seen from them. So to be able to shift the ball, shift the angles, move Collingwood's defence, go to the fat side, and then be able to find the extra number on the fat side, that's good signs.
Yeah, he's a relatively good set shot at goal. Got the Matty Lloyd toss
Matty
up there.
Lloyd tossed up the grass. I ran into Matty Richo at the back at half-time, and he was having a chuckle too that Camden McIntosh is the key forward. But unfortunately, there's a leap from Rafa Smith.
He took a nice hanger a few weeks ago as well. But and I think this is Adam Uze. We asked him off the top today about what does 5 weeks of exploring look like. So Seth Campbell gets the chance to go and play on the best player in the competition. Camden McIntosh gets a look forward.
Ryan reaches over the top. Here's a bit of Shea Bolton. Oh, into the post. It wraps.
Shea's the flip side of that. He's starting in centre bounce as the midfielder with Campbell starting half forward. Campbell comes up to go to Nick Dacos and allows Shea Bolton to play as a freewheeling player in the front half.
Steely Green steps in, just his second disposal. Coming up for the day. Young West Australia to full forward. Moore and Cameron with the spoils. Bolton has another go, and no luck again. He's threatening. He's come out with a lot of energy at the start of this third quarter, both tackling and also winning the footy. 15 touches for the day. 2 behinds. Josh Dacos marches back into play. Floston goes up early.
That's hard. Back on him there, didn't he? Yes, 50 again.
Unrealistic attempt.
He called it a block.
Lipinski wobbles one roughly near Cameron, and that was impressive from Cox. Cameron. Parker left it there. Steely Green sliding through. No one in the goal square. He reckons he can get there. He's going to need a bounce. He's going to need a wicket turner. They tried.
Last contest there, Bobby Hill, which he's done all day today, snuck out the back, and it was worrying signs with the two rucks handballing at each other. Just Darcy Cameron needed to put the ball on the boot with Bobby Hill, and there was no one in between him and the goals.
Fair to say he wasn't expecting it in there, Darcy Cameron. More back to the wing again. Cox moved by Miller. That's a fine takedown low from Darcy Cameron.
Just protected the space perfectly there.
Josh Dacos, timely run. Another handball to Crisp. Miller tries his best, but can only slow them. Pendlebury by Tell. So from one wing to the other, from that southern side, it's Noble with a launching kick. High again in the Bobby Hill and Schultz direction. Tigers do spoil effectively, and the hands are good. Precise. Rioli thought he could work his way with those evasive skills back to the inside. Oh, the ground went from under Flostone. Found some insurance at the back, and they scraped by just with Banks.
It's great forward pressure from Collingwood. Haven't seen enough of that over the last 6 to 8 weeks. So good signs to be able to force their opposition into trying to find an uncontested mark.
McIntosh well up the ground. Like a good centre half forward. Pushing right up to half back to give them the way out. Bolt up more. Leading with the fist. Going to have a rest while he's near the bench.
See the frustration in Noah Bolter there. Was on the lead, and McIntosh sort of kicked it behind him to invite Darcy Moore back into the contest. And Richmond had the first player at ground level there. It was Dean Prestia who'd work forward. Sometimes it's just get it forward, create a contest, and your advantage might be on the ground rather than in the air.
So 4 score sheets for this quarter. Only 4 behinds for Richmond. 2 goals, 2 for Collingwood. Margin is at 35. Baker to Prestia. Bolton was waiting for the next handball, which never came.
Out the full. Came off the foot of Shea Bolton there.
Ray just making sure that the boundary...
Going out with a bang, Razor.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
He's
But
had
the pick which
he's had
Dacos
a
are
great
going to
career, Razor, for a much scrutinised person. Love the way he goes about
Do we
it.
need more umpires with nicknames? Public nicknames or not?
No,
Can you tell me, was it self-anointed?
probably.
I have an issue with a self-anointed nickname.
Cox to the outside.
You have a guess. What do you reckon?
Maybe. Probably.
That's not a guess, maybe.
Forthright umpire is a much better one than one that's prepared to take a back step, I reckon.
Noise of affirmation.
Not sure you can have four forthrights out there doing one game.
15.
Free kick is plucked out of there. I don't think it's going to... I know it is going to Mason Cox. Hands it off to Josh Dacos. Via steel side bottom. Leads are made. The shortest of all was on it by towards Harrison. Well done, Floston, though. And he'll get it back here from Baker. Still plenty to try and work through. Ran into a brick wall, but they fight on, the Tigers. Presti tries to leg it out of there. High to the wing. This could be a big mark for Campbell. Over the top. Made the spoil in the end. It was Mansell, in fact, putting that pressure on. Crisp. Nick Dacos. Possession 29 to the inside. To Noble. Out to Elliott.
It's kind of just a little bit cleaner inside against Richmond's pressure.
It makes a massive difference with
Richmond,
hands, doesn't it?
Then Richmond are clean inside against Collingwood's pressure. It's just that arm wrestle in that ground ball area. Collingwood's pressure at half-back here, just enough to force a long kick out, and then Collingwood a 3v1 and can go back in through hands. It's marginal, but it's there.
1 goal, 1 for the afternoon for Jamie Elliott. That one was always the straight. Obviously his disappointment.
Looks like Tom Brown's found himself in the back line there. He's been playing up forward. Interesting young player for the Tigers as well. It's where their growth and development's going to come from.
Who do you really like, Jack, in terms of the young Tigers that have been exposed probably ahead of time this year?
Brown, yes. I think Ben Miller's had a really good year this year too.
Has, yeah. Been busy back there, that's for sure. Cox was up, directed it down by Tal. Noble, he was in the sights of McIntosh. Maybe he was a bit loose with the tackle.
I reckon Ryan Mansell's had a year as well. That's 50 metres too.
And Ray was there watching, and he must have deemed that he didn't really try and catch it. So Noble with the direction, true to his word. Long. Cameron doesn't fly, and that man was precise to drag it down.
So Tigers players that I think their supporters would be looking forward to seeing more. This is a young fella that's showing a bit. As I said, Campbell's been really clean at ground level, even in this quarter with Dacos as his direct matchup.
Spectacular from Cox.
Banks on a wing. Mansell as a high forward.
Josh Dacos strokes it in towards Hill. Challenged in the air that time by Foster.
This is where you'd like to see them generate some faster ball movement here. But Collingwood's ability to defend this is what's been the thing today that's really dominated for Collingwood.
Smith takes off. Green tried to make his mark there. Long back from Maynard. Good smother from Steely Green. Maynard in the end prevails. Long lead from McStay, but didn't arrive broad again. He's put a nice marking display today.
Yeah, he's been he's been strong in the air, contested marks, Nathan Broad today.
Oh, he's played on. He's able to work his way around McStay. Out to the wing. Howe. Parker.
You're talking about front half turnovers. Collingwood had just the 2 in the first quarter because they were scoring so effectively going into their forward zone. But it's been 9 in the second quarter and 8 in this third quarter. So that front half pressure and defensive intent once their opposition win possession in their front half has been a lot better. 17 front half turnovers in the second and third quarter to date, or to this time, has been really a great result.
Game in a bit of a holding pattern, no goal for the last 11 minutes. Tigers haven't kicked one in this quarter. Collingwood have two. Crisp searching for a third. McStay got there. Takes the tumbling mark and should convert for another. And what a huge positive this will be for Collingwood if he can kick a nice little bagful lining up for number 3.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story, obviously, the ACL at the start of the season, or just before the season, for Dan McStay. And they've been crying out for that key forward. Cox has been injured for a while now. We know Mychek hasn't been able to put a full season together.
Gets the closure he's after. That's 3 for Dan McStay.
Does his inclusion in Cox's make enough of a difference in this next month to be able to turn the way they're playing around?
I think it's a legitimate question, Bucks.
Yeah, well, today we've just seen a different dynamic. You need to have that bailout. So a lot falls on the shoulders of Cameron. And when I say bailout, that long down the line kick, that those sort of key forwards can get in and not specifically market it. Is that they just need to be opportunistic. So here you can see Chris just throws this on the boot. It's the ability to make sort of something out of a half chance. And that there was a half chance that potentially could have been spoiled. But McStay today has been able to give them that aerial contest and that contested marking player ahead of the ball. He's also been very good at kicking goals. Kicked 3 today, which is 3 straight, which is an important part of the game as well.
Really helped them get to the grand final. Last year did McStay. Unfortunately, wasn't part of it with the injury in the preliminary final.
By contact, he marked it.
Bolter running from behind that time. Targeted kick out to the wing. Short. Harrison can't close the gap. Up to Banks to the inside. The obvious was the short to Broad. Now he takes it. Meantime, the forward 50's filled up. Here's the Banks kick. Perfect for someone to run and jump at the footy. A double grabber from Brown. He's got it.
Just some more under the ball nicely there. Tom Brown sort of snuck up under him as a smaller forward against the tall key back. It's positioning sometimes where you catch the key defender at the first time. Noel Bolter looks like he's gone behind the ball. He's involved in that chain of play there to get it going. So the Tigers throwing the magnets around. This man's magnet's been thrown around the last 2 weeks and found himself forward.
Kicked his first goal earlier today, which was a memorable one. The son of the former Cat, Paul Brown. He threatened the post, but it is through. And the Tigers' first goal of the second half is most welcome off the boot of Tom Brown.
It's another one of the young Tigers brigade that I reckon is going to be worth watching going forward. He showed off half-back how good his kicking skills are, and I think that's the reason, rather than not being able to do the job as a half-back, is actually to get him forward and use his attributes in the front half of the field has probably been lacking for the Tigers. So, and I didn't know he had this in his armoury either, that like just to keep himself under the contest, the ball just floated away from the middle of the pack a little and he pounced on his opportunity. 2 goals. Only the 5 disposals. It can be difficult to find the ball with limited supply, but to take your chances is important.
193 centimetres, Jack. So he's in
Tom Brown.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't believe it?
I've lied into the player record before.
I hope they don't just ask the player.
It's time to take heights out of it as well. We can't talk about weights. Why can we talk about heights?
Advantage taken by Nick Dacos. How significant will it be? No, it's filled by Floston.
I already know there's a heightist.
Yeah,
Definitely with you on that, Nathan.
You're trying to take it out, ain't you?
Yep, up beyond the ring. Mansell. Kaczynski back with the flight of the footy. Hangs on in the pocket.
It's probably the best bit of play from the Tigers today, the ability to take it from the opposite back pocket and use their speed. This is where Hawthorn exposed Collingwood last week, is that they were able to move the ball sharply with angles and around the Collingwood defence as well. So once you go around it and Collingwood start to scout that's when you can come through the middle. Just needs the finish here now from Jacob Kaczynski, who's had a good day so far.
And we've seen it's not impossible today to kick goals from tight angles despite the bruise to negotiate. We've got a good look at it here, and it was never really threatening. Drifts right across. We've had a mix of some great long goals, and then we've had a lot of out on the fulls as well today.
It was very windy down there.
Down to you, Rubes.
Thompson Dow is going to come in for Tim Taranto. Taranto has just looked a little proppy with his back at the moment.
So that's the reason he's out, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, I was just waiting for just waiting for Coxie to take a hanger, to be honest. But in the second quarter, he spent the last 8 minutes on the bench getting his back worked on. In the first quarter, he spent a lot of time getting his back worked on, and just watching him around the ground, looks like he's moving really slowly, so he's taken a seat in the back row.
So there's the rules. Thanks for that, Roops. To half forward, Howe. He is capable of taking a hanger. Here's Kaczynski, little handoff. Just a squeezed kick out of there from Mansell. Back to the square, Maynard. He got the help he needed.
And Shea Bolton, that last stop, he's just hit it at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So he's been sent up as that high half forward, with Campbell taking the role, starting from half forward and then taking the role on Dacos. Bolton's found himself sort of starting in centre bounce and then being half forward, but still with that licence, your better players, you let them go to as many contests as possible.
To Dusty.
He started early.
Ryan influences with the tap. Prestia didn't have long. Parker. And we'll have a ball up. Ruby mentioned Cox taking hangers. There was a night, I remember, when he was doing that against Richmond. We can find the tape at some stage.
Can't remember, mate.
Up for grabs in the pocket. Ryan got the call. Steely Green a bit fancy. Towards full forward. Hopper approached it. Noble does enough. Takes it away from goal. Harrison, was that high, or was it... Well, McIntosh is going to get the benefit anyway.
It's marginal, but I tell you what, as he plays on here.
He does. Prestia's played on. To Hopper. They've almost made a meal of it. McIntosh. Hill strips him of it, and Collingwood are ready to go. Pendlebury gets sorted to side bottom. He looked to the side. There was no one there to give it to. So
there's no one ahead of the ball.
Back to Pendlebury. And then to Quainer. And then to side bottom. Trying to bring up some pressure, Richmond, now that they've been able to get a few back.
I was going to give him a rap for his ground level, McIntosh. I mean, you've got to put the challenge on the opposition, and he was able to get the free kick off the back of doing a basic really well, but probably could have found a bit better than that option.
Schultz gets it deep. McStay finding his range now in the air.
Trouble.
I don't think it was the option from McIntosh. Let me down, Prestia.
What did he play on?
I don't think
late whistle.
Yeah, I don't think he thought it was paid. Right, almost lost half his jumper there. Here's Nick Dacos there, but he couldn't squeeze his way through completely. Oh, McStay. The pressure just evaporated momentarily. Josh Dacos is on the hunt now. Matched well by Prestia. Parker squeezes a little kick out, and Schultz plays on and sends it end on end towards goal and through goal. Schultz salutes. He's kicked another. That's two. And the Pies extend their lead beyond 40 points.
There's been some positive signs today for Collingwood. The fact that Lachie Schultz is getting involved in scores is sort of the cream on the cake in terms of what he's been this year and involving this 22nd goal for the year or 21st goal for the year, but he's sort of been just there and fitting into the system. The system's worked today, and he's been able to find his role in it.
Well, it helps when you can take marks inside forward 50. That's the 17th for Collingwood, and I dare say, without knowing the numbers intimately, that would be right up there with their best for the season. They've been able to get the ball in their front half more often than not. 38 insides, and that magical number of 50 is looking and looming likely for them. They haven't been able to get over 50 since round 9, and they've definitely executed their plans better today than they have in the recent 4 or 5 weeks.
Lipinski came off the wing, taken care of though by Hopper, and there's Thompson Dow on the ground. By hand, he got it back to short, to centre half forward. Spoils are made. Pendlebury waiting for the right option to materialise, which it does. Lipinski to Nick Dacos. Plays it back first to Parker. Little shape was all required. Into the clear. Pies to half forward. Can they get beyond? No. Down. Full of energy takes the mark despite the protests. Hopper. Just trying to work out where to go next. Penalty makes that more difficult. Prestia. And out of McIntosh.
I see Pendlebury's stuck 2 or 3 good tackles today. He hasn't been tackling the last 3 or 4 weeks with his biceps, so positive signs that he's on the up.
Campbell, Mansell, Brown. Banks calling for it deep, but instead he's going to go via Samson Ryan, who has all shapes up as he thinks he can kick this. Turns his back to the options.
Ever seen Seth Campbell's role on Nick Dacos this third quarter? Bucks, 7 disposals for Dacos.
Yeah, I think he's done so under a little bit more pressure than before. And Campbell's he's not just sitting on him either. When Richmond get the ball, he's trying to lengthen forward and hold him, put him to task.
3 goals for the season, 3 goals straight. Speaking of straight, it's been sucking through on the rebound. This will be reviewed.
Steely Green got a boot to it, I think.
He did.
I just want to see if the player actually played possible.
Yep. But check that. Score review. Umpire's call was a goal. Can we please ensure the ball had not crossed the line previously?
Just look where Chelsea's right in the action there, isn't she?
Review underway.
No wonder she couldn't find her bearings to be able to. She
did well to
tried to get Josh Dacos out of the way there.
That's good use of the hips there to get Dacos out of the way.
Look at this angle. The ball is touched before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on scoreboard.
No place for the faint-hearted on the line.
No. Great body.
I wonder if they train that. All of a sudden just get in a big pack and try and make a decision.
I think they need to, Jack. Again, Dacos relishing his role, bringing it back into play. Cox and Cameron. Ricochet to Crisp. He shapes it to half forward. Tresice getting back there first. Had to work out which way the ball was going to bounce. No one really tried to close it out, so far so good. Down the line, the big guys arrive. That was a good shot from Miller.
Yeah, the pay too.
It's been spotted.
Cameron, straight to it.
Lifted back as well, didn't he?
He feigned the disappointment too.
Tom Brady with a
Patrick
throw.
Mahomes.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm old school.
Yeah, that's okay.
Down the side bottom. Last 15 seconds.
That's nearly the last man on the ground you'd expect to see that from. Still side bottom.
The line or outside 5. Move outside 5. Outside 5. Play on. Good.
Lost it up along the wing. Cameron and Moore team together. Harrison, they'll have to be good from here. They need a mark and they need it now. Instead, it's Samson Ryan that takes it. So Collingwood doing what they need to do. They kick 4-3 to 1-5 in that quarter. They lead by 41 points. Percentage could be all important in the last quarter as the race to September continues. And speaking of the race, there's a bit going on at the MCG. There's plenty going on at the Adelaide Oval. It's the Crows and the Hawks. The Hawks are one of the informed teams in the competition.
All right, folks, there we go. It is 3/4 time here at the MCG. Pies came out running in that third quarter with a couple of goals. Richmond got one back and then they steadied the ship. Third quarter, Pies put on 4 goals, 3 to the Tigers, 1 goal, 5. They had plenty of chances. Couldn't just quite put it through the big sticks for the Tigers. There we go. Still should be in for a good last quarter. 41 points, the lead here. 13-8, 86 to the Magpies. 6-9, 45 to the Tigers. Let's duck across there and have a look at the player stats. See how they're rating so far. Nick Dacos, the man, he's still on top with 33. Another quietish type of quarter after starting the first quarter with 17. He's 7 touches in that third quarter. Was still doing his job. We go 15 kicks, 8 handballs. Scotty Pendlebury's having a crack at 22. Jaden Short is going well for the Tigers with Broad and Vlosten, 21-20, 19. Joshy Dacos there with 19. Daniel Rioli, 18 there for the Tigers. We just keep rolling down there. Shai Bolton with 16 for the Tigers, trying to give the Tigers a little bit of run there, trying to lift them much as he can. Baker, 15. Looking for a big last quarter. Cameron doing well there for the Maggies with 13, 24 hit-outs, 9 kicks. Darcy Moore, a good game. Best game he's played for quite some weeks. Does look like his old self there back, taking those marks, intercept marks, rebounding out of the back line there for the Pies. Jamie Elliott, 12, took a screamer, took a fantastic mark there. He's kicked a 1 goal for his 12 touches. Still side bottom. He's having a funny old game there for the Pies. Shanked that last kick out of bounds on the full when they could have driven it in to give the Pies the last chance. Didn't work. Daniel McStay, he's having a good game. Taking a few marks there, kicked a few goals. He's kicked 3 there. Schultz come into the game a little bit into that third quarter. Bobby Hill with a fair chase down in that third quarter, which resulted in a goal for the Pies. Good stuff. Caleb Smith, only 6 for the Tigers, a little bit slow. They need to pick up their game, some of these Tigers. Green, Brown, Mansell. Will Haskin-Elliott, he's had 4 touches for the Pies, still with the 2 goals. Let's go and have a look at the goal scorers. Let me just zoom that back up the top. Sorry about that, folks. Of course, we've got Daniel McStay on top. He's the leading goal scorer at the moment. Justin, how you going? Pies. Hey, we're going for the Pies, brother. We're going for the Pies. Come on, Pies. Daniel McStay with 3 goals, leading goal scorer. He's going well. Lockie Schultz did well in that second quarter. He's got 2 goals with Will Hoskin-Elliott 2, and Bobby Hill. Good to see the man Bobby Hill with a couple of goals. He's always giving the goals away. I'm glad to see him with a couple. He's having a pretty good game. Tom Brown, best for the Tigers with 2. Scotty Penrelby, the old captain there for the Pies, he's got 1. Caden McIntosh 1. He needs to lift a little bit, McIntosh, just with the 1 goal. Be looking for him in the final quarter of the Tigers. Ned Long with a single. Kaczynski with a single. Jamie Elliott with 1. Campbell with 1. Darcy Cameron with 1. And Banks with 1. They're the goal scorers. Let's just have a quick look at the AFL fantasy points. Nathan Broad for the Tigers now goes on top of the points in the fantasy points game with 94 points. Nick Dacos, after a slow couple of quarters, he's up to 92. Boston, he's climbed the ladder to 79, and Bobby Hill up to 78 with Darcy Cameron 78 and Jaden Short 73. There we go. We got a minute, only a minute away from the start of this game. The players will be getting back out on to their positions not too far away. But it looks like the vision is back up, so I'm going to take you back to the commentators to enjoy the final quarter here at the MCG, whereas Collingwood leading Tigers 13-886 to 6-9-45. It's a great game. It's a great game. Anytime the Tigers play the Magpies, it's always a great game. All right, folks, we're going to take you back down onto the ground with the commentators. Enjoy the final quarter here at the MCG. Collingwood taking on Richmond.
Just the one more to break that record. Although Lockie Sullivan looks like he's got the shirt off. He was today's sub. He looks like he's coming into the game. I do wonder whether they'll take Scott Pendlebury out and leave him out of this last quarter, given the lead, and just save him for that big 400 against the Blues.
Perhaps putting the start on ice for the rest of the day. That remains to be seen, Hutto, but a big final quarter coming up from the Pies. They want to finish this one off solidly, given that this finals run could come down to percentage. And it looks like Pendles is staying out there.
All right, thank you, Sarah and Ruby. Who will it be that is going to be sitting at the back of the box for this last quarter? And the Magpies would love to expand
to the bench now. Oh, no.
Expand on this 41-point lead. They want to make sure he gets there safely for next week.
Which row is he going to sit in?
He's got the big jacket.
It's not positive, is it?
No. It's not happy either.
And there he goes.
But he's a pragmatic man.
Well done to Ruby.
So it's all set for the last quarter.
He's had a lazy 22, Pendles, in 3 quarters.
Good, hasn't he?
Cox the tap, Presti the kick. Kaczynski contained it for Bolton. He's going to be caught again this time. He got the desperate handball away. Christopher Moore. Short, uses weight and poise. Prestia tries a second time. This might have more success. And it's Caleb Smith who takes the mark. And he was about to pass it, and Shea Bolton said, don't. So young Caleb Smith, 19-year-old in his 3rd game from Melville in WA. Already saw Banks kick his first goal in AFL footy earlier today, or Brown I should say. And now Caleb Smith has done the same.
Bit of an understated sort of little fist there.
He's a very
much of an indication.
He's a very quiet lad, Caleb Smith. Very good cricketer growing up as well, but He's been predominantly playing back there. Had a foot issue last year, missed most of the season, but he's a part of this small forward fleet that they're going to go into this last quarter with. And Adam Uze spoke about playing players in different positions. Dale Prestia just threw the ball on the boot there, and it's a bit opportunistic for young Caleb Smith. Found himself in the right place at the right time. Still needed to finish it. And that's another longer goal that we saw from Tom Brown, who kicked his first goal from about 55. Just carved that one in nicely around the post. But he certainly is not a part of this generation of the hand movements after a celebration, Bucks.
Really? He's got to learn it, isn't he?
You sound flat about that.
He's got to learn it.
Young defender up until now, so going forward today, and he's kicked a goal, shown some good traits in what we've seen of him so far. Pick 49 in 2022, so that's, if you are rebuilding when you've won flags, you've got to find a few in that area.
You need a few gems there.
Ruck wrestle continues. Cameron, Sullivan, Josh Dacos jamming it forward. Cox had to wait for it to sit. Lipinski, Elliott.
It's a really important last quarter for both of these teams. Richmond, obviously, for what we're talking about, their ability to fight a game out. You want to win this last quarter at the very least and challenge your opposition. And for Collingwood, clearly they want to maintain this
percentage too.
Yeah, it could be telling. And a couple of goes out at there. Cameron, Dacos, Elliott and Cox. Bolter with the handball away. Sullivan and Bytel sort things out. Rapid fire kick, play on. Dow does just that, but it looked up, all he saw were Collingwood jumpers. Josh Dacos off the left, a floater, and guess who he's found? Oh, is that 50?
No. Seth Campbell just chasing.
Yeah.
Nick Dacos. I reckon there's an element of this. I know there's an element of this of anticipating the turnover. But Nick Dacos is fantastic at that. He sort of sees one play ahead and goes, right, we're likely going to win this. I'm going to go forward because that's where I need to be involved in the next bit of play.
And half a second can be 2 or 3 steps, and that can be 5 metres, which is plenty. Now, a great kick there by Josh on his non-preferred to be able to float that to the spot.
His 35th disposal of the day. We saw the preparation. Doesn't quite end up as he visualised, and it comes off hands, and I think into the post.
It's such a great trait to have, though. It's just that football IQ, which there's no measurable for that. Some guys just have it, and some guys don't.
An even split of contested and uncontested possessions for Nick Dacos today. Ryan the tap, Broad, Dow. Sullivan keeps at it, surrounded by Tigers. Nifty work from Bolter. Getting rid of it was another thing, though. Broad facing the same difficulties along the line. Banks rushed it forward. There's Smith, a juggle. Snatched away by Schultz. Josh Dacos, Cox, Ralph Smith fired the handball back, and that might have been some high contact. It all happened quick.
Fierce pressure on the ball carrier, though, by the Pies in their front half, which has been missing in that last couple of months. So to be able to bring that to light for the next 20 minutes is going to be really important for them to build that confidence around their ability to do it. Richmond are last on the ladder, but you've still got to do it.
Oh, Bolton! You could see him coming, but it was hard to envisage how he was going to get there, wasn't he? Going to get there, but he had a method. And I think he's looking up at the replay there, the board there, to see if he can get a replay of this. Oh, what a mark that would have been.
Great, a great hit.
That's a reason to keep watching. It's a big grab still in this last quarter.
There's also an element of desperation here for Collingwood to stay, because they are still in the finals race here and just sitting outside, is that there's players here that weren't involved in last year's premiership that want to play finals footy as well.
Dacos, Elliott takes his second fine mark of the day.
Let Noel Bolton know that as well. He's going him too small.
Bobby Hill's leading up for this one. Are we going to get another? Oh, we tried, but Cox didn't have to jump. Just stood his ground and takes the mark. Richmond defenders are not happy at all.
Well, last year that was about 550s.
I think they were complaining about about Bobby Hill being unrealistic in that pack. They were really unhappy. So Cox is missed.
That's one thing that Mason Cox will want to fix up after today. He's had a couple of shots on goal. Usually he's reliable. Just does enough to get it over the line, but he's missed 2 gettable ones today.
So that's what they were complaining about, Bobby Hill flying up and not touching the ball. Cox took the marks and Ray explained that he doesn't need to touch it. Interesting. Noble. Feels like there might be one coming now from Elliott, and he reaches over the top. Any minute, Hill with the dancing shoes. Elliott might try and kick the goal, flying across.
This has got a little bit of the sort of schoolyard half-time sort of lunch setup, doesn't it? Where it's
and we're here
old
for
markers up. You can see you've just gone up a little bit.
Call it up.
I don't have it. Up and under.
In the territory, we call it up and under.
We're going to call Jack in the pack. It's markers up.
Kick to kick.
Don't call it anything else, please.
Up and under, please.
Oh my gosh.
Ryan to Banks with intent. Odds favour Collingwood here, although that is a terrific effort from Steely Green. I think it is under all of that.
Yeah, probably should have been paid that in front, I would have thought.
I don't know why that wasn't paid, but not the contest you want to be kicking to regularly, Steely Green versus Darcy Moore.
Cameron with style to Dacos to Sullivan. Into the middle. Short. Stop to that and floats it for Bolter. Oh, he's left it behind. Doesn't pay. Hopper.
Harrison stayed down after that. You might have to let us know what's going on there, Ruth, when you get a sniff on it.
The physio running out to him now. He's not looking too good just in that contest. Looks like he might have been collected.
Return to the team today, Harvey Harrison. Meantime, Ralph Smith. Back to the inside now. He can get close enough to goal if he plays on. Daniel Rioli decides against.
See, I know Collingwood probably don't want to put Pendles back on, but if this is a concussion incident and he has to go out of the game, I think the person who's been subbed out should be allowed to come back into the game.
Don't mind that. So Daniel Rioli, he's confident that he can kick it from there. The distance is not the main issue.
Even though the penalty's been subbed out tactically?
Yeah, I think it should be more, there we go, a head knock. So that's right on the chin. No surprise why he stayed down for a little bit, and there'll be a HIA take place there in the next couple of minutes.
Oscar Elliott, he is another one that can try and take a contender. Vitale turned around at precisely the right moment. Drawn to the handball to Nick Dacos. He gets a little bit of afters from Bolter, which everyone just ignores. Maynard back to Dacos. Possession 38. Maynard. And impressive with the one hand, Nick Floston, given what was all around him. How high will Nick go today? What do you reckon? He's on 38 now. We've still got 12 and a half minutes to go.
44 is the line for mine.
Okay. Back through the middle. Campbell tries to get a bit creative.
I like this from the Tigers. They shift it to the other side of the ground. Don't just go up and down the tram tracks.
Right. Couple of offerings. Smith was on the move. He went short of that, as you saw. Oh, just got over the head of Brown. Here's Quainer. Oh, he handed it straight to Bolton, but he was out anyway.
That's good use again there from the body of Tom Brown. He's shown that a couple of times on Darcy Moore. Just wasn't able to get the hands up to take the mark there, but he's been one of the, I think, the shining lights in terms of what you're looking at going forward. Hasn't had a heap of possessions, but shown in some critical contests that he can stand up.
Josh Dacos has had a big day too. 24th disposal, and Bolter in the road again. So a bit of forward half footy here for the Tigers. Ralph Smith drifts down from the wing, calling for it. With great confidence, but Bolter pretty much ignores him and just pins the ears back, driving ball into the pocket.
It's a bit of a nothing.
It's not the best entry, is it?
It's just, you kick it so close to the goal line, you're either relying on a big pack mark and an elite crumb, potentially, or more than likely it's either going to go over for a stoppage or we rush for a behind. I'd prefer that to see a little bit flatter.
I'd ask Noah Bolter, if Noah Bolter was on the end of that kick, where would he want it? Not there.
Sounds a bit like Coach Buckley on the throw in. Cameron. Josh Dacos searching for a way out. It's good pressure. Tiger fans called ball. More success this time. Sullivan. Noble. McStay one-on-one. Bolter flew just hopefully more than anything. Enough disrupting done for Richmond to at least get it over the line.
Front-on contact.
Apparently not.
It's a fair front-on. An issue now maybe potentially for Mason Cox as well. Would have caught one on the beak.
We caught that one over in the west.
Yeah, subbed out in that Freo. That's his last game he played against Freo.
I think the glasses got broken in that one as well. So it wouldn't be tender at the moment, but you don't want to be copying him on the beak consistently, do you?
Especially when it's cold.
Sampson. Thanks, Dale.
Still 11 and a half to go in the final term. Collingwood's lead at 35 points. Crisp sees off a couple, including Prestia. Just scrambled the kick. Didn't get enough pace and grip on it. But side bottom comes for seconds. Crisp again to the inside. Josh Dacos, impressive move. Bobby wants it, but instead he was trying to handball to Schultz. And Daniel Rioli. Back to Broad. He's got company. Maynard and Schultz.
Geez, there was a big ground ball there. Maynard. I'm not sure who was going the other way. Was it Broad? Was it? That's we talk about players protecting themselves and turning your body. That was nearly 2 balls in the paddock, button heads.
Clearing ball from Prestia. Moore versus McIntosh. Howe. Schultz on the edge. Elliott in the goal square. McStay, a mid-range. Feeds it to Hoskin Elliott instead. Boston does enough. Sullivan to Schultz again. Just popped it. It's straight back to the sliding Broad.
Been important behind the ball for the Tigers today. Nathan Broad, the margin could be a little bit more than what it is at the moment. 35 points. He's been strong down back, especially in the air for them.
They have been undersized. I mean, McStay's got a hold of him a few times. There's been some marks inside 50, hasn't it? But he's been asked to play a role he's not familiar with, or isn't asked to play that often as a keeper.
We saw Dusty in the box a few moments ago. The indication is that he'll be right to play against North. That is next week they have, and that's a big battle, isn't it, at the rear end of the ladder?
Certainly there's implications on the draft order, you would think, going forward.
Separated by percentage, just 2 wins. Oh, more. Hitting the right of Cameron. Ready for it was Bolton. And working their way forward. Banks, McIntosh, Vital, Smith bearing down, but summed it up well.
He's played it's a really solid game, Vital. Off the wing more often than not. He's been able to slide down. He's had 22 touches. He's done his chances of playing, throughout the next month and hopefully longer. No harm at all. As Harvey Harrison returns to the field.
Yep, so he's fine. Vital adds another to that total. It just stays in, but the umpire will say sorry. Vital played rounds 9, 12 and 13. 2 of them have subbed, so he hasn't really had a good run at it yet. McIntosh, Moore. Dow getting it was okay, but no real room at all to
see the Collingwood players swarming there. 4 onto the tackle, 5 onto the tackle there with Thompson Dow. That's the one thing today. They've really pressured Richmond at the right times.
Tigers with the lone goal of this final term. Josh Dacos on his bike. Couple of bounces. Progression to the wing. Harrison with side bottom on the inside at his disposal. He kicks down towards McStay and Hoskin Elliott. Bit of buffeting going on. And it works to the favour of the Tigers in the end. Broad, Bolter. Precise on the turn. Too strong for Baker, so...
Good hands.
Yeah, from Cameron to Chris to Nobles. Bit of a setup. Chris keeps on coming. And so do his teammates. Long, Quainer, a rare venture. Up into the 50. Can he get his hands on the footy? No, he got his hands on the Tiger player and gave away the free. Rioli, cute but effective, followed it up. He is trotting along the wing. Sets it up for McIntosh to fly against Moore. We've seen the duel regularly. Vital, Noble, good evasive skills again. Sullivan held on, copped one.
That was strong there by Sullivan. Needed to stand under it.
Nick Dacos just knows where the brother is. Josh floats one into long. Howe keeps on running on the outside. Not inclined to just move on without a plan.
Just runs from one other side to the other.
His PB is 42. This will be his 40th disposal coming up. 18 in the first quarter. It was a fair start. Plays it into the pocket.
It feels like it's got a bit junk time-ish already, doesn't it? But I think that a bit of fatigue kicks in. There's high transition. Both sides are still trying to go pretty quick through the middle, and we're seeing some missed targets.
Precise onto the left. Magpies well organised there behind the ball.
And both Collingwood and Richmond are playing with an extra number.
Yeah, Collingwood too from forward 50 stoppage. They've sent the ruck out there as well, so they're trying to generate these back half scores that they were so prominent on early on in the game.
They're at 48 inside 50, so as we said, 50 or 51 was the magic number. Haven't done it since round 9 v West Coast, so I think they're on target to achieve that for what it's worth.
Josh Dacos with the entry kick. Hill waits at the front. Hoskin Elliott flies. Gets awkward for the defence. Just so many bodies around. Ray quick with the whistle.
Have you seen enough from Collingwood today, Bucks, to think that they can challenge in September?
First of all, we're going to get to September.
Yeah, there's a few big hurdles to get to that, but this style of football, we've got to understand who the opposition is, and Richmond haven't been able to maintain too much competitiveness this year due to their personnel, etc. So there's still a fair way to go for the Pies.
Green put it out in front of Mansell. Decisions to be made. He had a bounce. Parker does enough to disrupt. Maybe the chaos actually helped the Tigers here. The handball for Brown. The next give to Campbell. Onto the boot in haste.
Okay, Smith there was playing behind Darcy Moore. Darcy Moore defended it well. Needed to lead up to create the space behind, but tried to go the long option there. There's just no sort of fluidness going forward for the Tigers at the moment. It's been chaos goals today.
Richmond's last win was in round 13 over Adelaide. Lipinski up to Vital. Mason Cox with the target down the line here. Change the angles. Josh Dacos slipping. Gives Richmond an unexpected opportunity. Dow into Baker. And Bolton with good effect, the slide.
We saw Josh Dacos' left footer over the top, floater into a space, and that one by Liam Baker just had the right amount of arc on it to give Bolton the chance to be able to get underneath that. So two really good kicks.
Because Darcy Moore was standing all by himself back in the Richmond forward 50, so it was the only option that Baker had. Crafted it nicely.
Still hasn't kicked a goal today. 7 goals, 5 over the past 3 weeks. Just the 1 goal last week from 17 touches against Port Adelaide. His accuracy this year has been a little better than the last couple of seasons. Can he display it now? Not with that. It's a real drag to the left. Tigers adamant he will stay and honour his deal. There'll be some changes at the end of the year, though, won't there, with Richmond? Moore. Sky ball, up goes Bolter. He found a way through in his unorthodox manner. Back towards Brown and Moore again. Josh Dacos enjoying his time in defence. Hoskin Elliott had a good early sighter on them. Off to Nick Dacos. And now to Crisp. Charging forward. Elliott's out. It's got Lipinski charging towards goal. That's what's next. From one end to the other, Collingwood finds some flow, and they'll find a goal here in the last quarter as a result, you would think.
We focused a lot on Nick Dacos today, but it's been all Josh Dacos in this last quarter. He's had 12 possessions, 3 inside 50s, 2 clearances, 8 handball receives, which is a huge number. It's the thing that you ask Collingwood, how do they generate speed? Well, it's through handball receives, and his work rate's been fantastic.
Been quiet today, Lipinski, but he's been a regular contributor to the scoreboard, either directly like that or setting up teammates through the year. 15 goals for the season for Pat Lipinski, and Collingwood threatened to get to the 100. They're 14-9 to Richmond 7-11. The margin sits at 40.
Last time we saw a scoring effort or a goal from back half was in the first quarter. Collingwood kicked 4 goals, 1 of their first quarter score from the back half, and they've only kicked 2 points from that back half since then. So good to see that full ground movement.
Big muff ahead here, isn't there?
Well, so can they take the game, the best of what we've seen today, against those 4 teams, particularly the first 3? Carlton,
Saturday night,
Sydney and Brisbane.
Well, it's Pendle's 400th as well, so there's a bit happening on the Saturday night, but Carlton's form hasn't been crash shot either.
No way.
It's I suppose the advantage for Collingwood there is you're a chance to take 4 points away from other teams that are in the mix.
Out of the middle, Dacos again. Stay behind, gave Bolter a start, and he is off. Needed no encouragement. Out to Mansell. Now Bolton. Back to Mansell. Ryan against 3 Collingwood defenders. Front, square. And a goal for Prestia.
Sort of came by fault, that design of that play there. It was Bolton who dropped the mark, but then was forced to come back inside and use Mansell. And that's the type of play that I think Adamuze, whilst it's not perfect, it's the function of how that actually happened and what you get. So as soon as that ball comes in the inside there, it actually opens up the whole other side of the ground for Richmond in their offence, but it also puts so many players offside. So Mason Cox gets put offside there by that shift in play and allows Samson Ryan to be the aerial contest, and Dion Prestia finds himself in the right spot. So it's more plays like that going forward for the Tigers that they want to see. It gives them a better chance of scoring.
And they're always a much more dangerous side, aren't they, where Dion Prestia is fit?
Yeah, you think through the premiership years in best and fairest voting, he was well ahead in terms of average votes per game than any other Tiger.
Cox, his tap was well read by Baker, but he is surrounded by Magpies. Tackle count pretty low overall today, 51 to 33. Magpies usually are ahead in that number. Bolton the fan, but he couldn't get fully released. High. Don't often see that paid. We see it quite regularly. That kind of tackle or restriction. Short. Or Elf Smith.
Similar type of play there from Hugo Rouse. Smith was trying to bring in. It was just skill execution that let them down there.
2:30 to go. Baker forces it across the 50. Parker. It's a nice obliging bounce. To Harrison. Now Quainer. Parker again. Tresice. Elliott. Tigers get through. Tresice. Charges off. To Green. And Kazitsky on the move. Plays on. Handball to Rioli. Wasn't quite happy for him today with that final kick.
He was just repositioning the ball, ready for a drop punt, and fumbled it, unfortunately. But that sort of running at that speed, I wouldn't know what that would feel like. Just flies, doesn't he? When he goes, he goes.
He just goes. 24 disposals for Daniel Rioli. There's Maynard on the follow-through. Dacos is on the bench. He's on an equal career high 42. He's not going to beat it.
Craig McRae's the party pooper.
Well, if anyone can get a possession on the bench. In fact, he had 17 when the siren went at quarter time, and they added an extra one when they did the recalculation. So you never know.
That's a good talent to have.
Bit of a kick around, and we're going to get one last highlight in the last minute and a bit. Prestia. Oh, a one-hander from Tom Brown. 30 metres out directly in front.
It's been good to head of the ball today, Tom Brown. Even the last entry that came in had Darcy Moore on the line and nearly took that mark. Another one of those sort of smart footballers, medium size, definitely not 193 centimetres, but a nice mark against the strong defender there in Braden Maynard.
If you're going to kick your first goal in AFL footy, you might as well go on and make it 3 for the afternoon and really make it a day to remember. 3 goals to Tom Brown. It was always going to be the issue coming in as to where the goals were going to come from with the Tigers, but he's done well.
Tigers fans come away from today obviously disappointed with the result, but you look for the shining lights, and he's been one of them. 3 goals. You mentioned his first goal, which was an excellent goal from outside 50, but this is a strong mark. But Braden Maynard is a very good one-on-one defender. He just found himself, got that arm right sort of under Maynard's arm to be able to sort of push him out of the way there, and then had the one juke up to catch that nicely.
2 contested marks for 2 goals after he's shot a goal from outside 50 that he converted to. So there's some very positive signs on a player who was behind the ball before last week, of course.
35 seconds remaining. There is time enough. Campbell for Brown again. Wasn't far off the mark. Quainer. Wriggles clear. Dacos. Josh. Floston again. Interrupts and then brings it to the inside to Hopper. He's averaged more disposals per minute than any of his Tiger teammates. The issue's been the time he's stayed fit and healthy. On the way forward, he kicks it out wide to Bolton. He's going to line up, and he's going to maybe be able to kick a goal after all. Shea Bolton.
Unbelievably, Richmond have won the inside 50 count, 52 to 51. So field position is still going to be, in general play, still going to be an issue for Collingwood as they go forward, in particular when they look to the Blues next Saturday night, but some improved areas in their game, no doubt.
So the Tigers have won the last quarter already. Shea Bolton goes on the final siren. And he remains so at the death. It's a behind for Bolton and for Richmond. And so, any way you measure it, Collingwood are winners today by 26 points. They end the run of 4 straight losses. Have they done enough to make you think that they could still make the finals and do some damage? It's an open question. 58,000 at the MCG, though, saw them return to the winners list. Let's get down to Sarah.
Scott, a hugely important win breaks the 4-game losing streak. How close is that to the football you guys want to be playing?
Yeah, obviously much better today. I think there was parts of the game that would have looked really good for us today. I thought our pressure was really good, and we connected reasonably well inside 50. I feel like we left a little bit out there, but yeah, good to get that feeling back of a win.
Was the plan to always sub you out?
I think the coaches do a good job. They don't tell me. So, but yeah, at 3/4 time, they come over and said, "You're done," and rest up. So, I trust the guys.
Were you happy with that?
No one ever likes getting subbed out, but obviously you want to get Sull into the game, and the coaches probably thought that the gap was probably big enough.
A massive week lies ahead. Carlton, MCG Saturday night in game number 400. Are you ready for how big this is going to be?
I had a lot of people wish me well last week. I said I just want to get. I don't like ever projecting forward because I feel like bad things will happen. So, looking forward to the week. I'll embrace what comes, and more importantly, a big game against Carlton.
What are you most going to cherish about the milestone?
I don't know. I just want to take it all in, see what happens. But getting to do it with all my family and friends is really special.
So you've got a lot of experience, that goes without saying. When you look at this season and just how even it is, what's it going to take for a team to win this premiership in a year that no one is really standing out in?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of twists and turns in the season. Everyone can see that, and I feel like there's one more twist left for us as a football club. So, we got a massive challenge with Carlton, but we're we're ready to go. We're looking forward to the last 4 weeks, and we know we can achieve a lot in that last 4 weeks. And if we keep winning, we'll give ourselves a chance.
So it feels like if you get on a roll, you get momentum at the right time. Do you feel as if that anything is possible?
Absolutely.
Good answer. Enjoy the week ahead. Congratulations on 399 brilliant games, and enjoy that special moment running up with the kids.
Thanks, Sarah. Cheers.
Thank you, Sarah. He joins Dustin Fletcher on 400 next week. There's Bartlett, there's Burgo, and there's Tuck, and there's Brent Harvey at the top. And speaking of tables, the Sydney Swans playing the Bulldogs at the moment, who have made a good start, but Collingwood able to move up to 12th, adjacent to the Hawks, who still to play today. So they didn't really get the percentage bonus that might have looked at one stage, but they did get the 4 points.
Yeah, it was out to sort of over 30 points, well over 30 points there. It ends up being 26 points. You see them sitting pretty close to Hawthorn, exactly the same as Hawthorn on percentage. Hawthorn still obviously to play this afternoon. The Dacos brothers had their own ball out there today. It's the highest possessions they've ever had together, 74. The previous best was 72 possessions. And the balance between uncontested and contested, especially for Nick Dacos, had 18 contested and 21 uncontested. Their work rate, and for both of them, they stood up in moments. So Nick Dacos started the game on fire, 18 possessions in the first quarter. And in the last quarter, it was Josh Dacos who stood up and had 13 touches as well with 9 handballs. So when the game did start to become a bit of a lull, he was the one that was continuing to work all over the ground and generating the offence for Collingwood. So I think Craig McRae would be wrapped with the 4 points. He spoke about the winner's mentality last week. They certainly come out winners from today, but some things for them to work on going forward.
All right, we'll take a break. As we said, the next month is huge. It starts with Pendle's big game against old rivals Carlton. Then they take on the might of the Sydney Swans. There's been some memorable clashes at the SCG between the two teams. Jack Crisp, the ex-Lion, will be with the Pies against Brisbane. Then it all finishes off against the traditional clash with Melbourne in round 24 here at the G. Can Nick Dacos lead them back to September?
All right, there we go, folks. There we go. Pies victory today over the Tigers. 14-9-93 to 9-13-67. All I can say for you, Eddie G's, go Pies, go Pies. Finally, Paul, the Pies got a victory after 4 losses in a row. It was a pretty good day. Although the Tigers didn't do too bad for Ryan. Of course, the Tigers won that last quarter. They kicked 3 goals, 4 to the Maggies, 1 goal, 1. Well, they got the 4 points. I think there'll be a little bit to work on. They need to finish the teams off. They need to finish them off in a big way because the percentage is only about 1% between 4 teams, which we'll have a look at in a moment. Of course, that could be vital come the end of the home and away season. Adrian sounds like Gollum in Lord of the Rings. We use Collingwood forever. I know. You know what? I secretly think Eddie G loves Collingwood. He's just too shy to say. He's too shy to say. But there we go. It wasn't too bad. The Pies finally had a victory. They did a lot right. I think definitely through that second half, they tended to bomb it in a little bit too much, which gave the Richmond defence a little bit too easier chance option to spoil the incoming Paul. But there we go. Not too bad. Hey, Brett. Hey, Harvwood. How you going, fellas? Ainsley. Well, what do you mean, boo? No, not boo. Yay. Oh, boo for the dogs. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Let's have a bit of a look and have a look at the player stats, how they ended up. And of course, Nick Dacos there leading the way with 42 touches, a career high. And of course, I don't know why the coach took him off the ground the last minute and a half. He could have surpassed his own record of 42 touches in the game, but he had a crack of 20 kicks, 22 handballs, 6 marks, 2 tackles. Was that about 12 clearances? I'll tell you what, it was good. The Dacos brothers, I'll tell you what, they're stars. Josh, second with 32, 22 kicks, 10 handballs, 6 marks, 2 tackles, 3 clearances. They did the job for the Pies. Nathan Broad was pretty good there for the Tigers with 26, 16 kicks. Jaden Short, good also at 25. Daniel Rioli tried his heart out there for the Tigers. Had a late shot on goal after the siren, but No, that was Shy Bolton, I should say. Had a shot on goal. But couldn't quite kick him straight for the Tigers. He ended up with 3 behind. Scotty Pendlebury, the 22 touches. He was taken off at the start of the 4th quarter. Not through injury, because they want to rest the champ, make sure he's all good for his magical 400th game next week against Carlton. So that should be a cracker. That'll be a game which should be a sellout crowd to see Scotty Pendlebury hit the 400, which only a handful of players have done playing AFL football. Nick Vlossen there, good with 23. As I said, Shy Bolton, not a bad game there for the Tigers. He tried his heart out. Prestia, 20. Noble, 21, not too bad. 19 for Chris and Baker. Darcy Moore, best game for him for a while, as I said, with 18. 12 kicks, 6 handballs, 4 marks, 1 tackle. Did his job down back. Darcy Cameron was also good. Bobby Hill lifted today. It was a good effort by Bobby Hill. Good to see him back and kick a couple. And Jamie Elliott started the game off well. There we go. Still side bottom, a bit quiet for the Pies. It was like he was just out having a picnic there today. Lockie Schultz tried hard. He ended up with a couple of goals there off his 12. Tim Taranto, a little bit quiet there for the Tigers with 11. Kaczynski with 11. Mason Cox, he had 11. He had 13 hit-outs. His kicking was not like the old Mason Cox, old, a little bit skew-if. Normally he kicks them pretty straight. He had a few chances at goal, but just ended up with a 1 behind. As we scroll down, there are your stats for your players in this match here. Let me just have a little bit of a look. Let's go down. I think we've got the Collingwood theme song. All right, so we came in just at the end of that, and we missed it. That's okay. All right, let's get back to the players' stats. And if the commentators come up to have a little bit of a comment on the game, we'll take you back to them. So look at the goal scorers there. Leading goal scorers on the ground. Daniel McStay for Collingwood, he kicked 3, and Tom Brown for the Tigers, he also kicked 3. Lockie Schultz, Hoskin Elliott, and Bobby Hill, 2 each for those 3 for the Pies. And then we had all singles to Smith, Prestia, Pendlebury, McIntosh, Ned Long, Lipinski, Kaczynski, Elliott, Campbell, Cameron, and Banks. So have a quick look at the AFL fantasy points. Nick Dacos took out the honours on that today. If you play the fantasy points, 128. Nathan Broad, 121. Josh Dacos, 111. Darcy Cameron, 105. A little bit of a look at the team disposals, see how they went. As I said, that was a pretty even game in disposals there today. 348, 360. 12 more to the Tigers there. And that was all kicks. 12 more kicks to the Tigers. Handballs the same. Inside 50s. With that last inside 50 for the Tigers, they took that out a little bit above season average, 52 to 51. 52 inside 50s for the Tigers for their 22 scoring shots, and 51 inside 50s for 23 scoring shots to the Pies. Disposal efficiency, both above average, both did pretty well there. And inside 50 efficiency, both pretty good there for the teams, 51, 58. Free kicks, 19 to the Tigers, 13 to the Pies. Some were there, some weren't, but it wasn't too bad. Reasonably well umpired the game. Hit-outs, Collingwood well on top there, 46-18. Clearances, Pies by 10. Centre clearances, pretty even there, 12 to 11, both on their season average. And the stoppage clearances, 27-18, Pies in that way. Contested possessions, only 10 the difference, not much there. Uncontested, of course, the Tigers had found a little bit more space at times. 30 up there. Turnovers, 70-63, reasonably high for today, but nothing out of the ordinary. Time in possession for the match, Collingwood had most of the possession there at 49%, 39 to the Tigers, and of course, stoppage time had the rest. The marks, the Tigers in front with the marks overall for the game, 110-83. Marks inside 50s. The Pies hit their target reasonably well. They're doubling their season average of 20, which is great to see. And Richmond coming back late with their marks inside 50, going above their average by a couple, which is good. Contested marks 13 to 12, pretty even there. The tackles, Collingwood will be reasonably happy with that, but still under their average. And of course, Richmond well under their average, just with 34 tackles. Tackles inside 50, not really too much for both sides, 5 to 2, well, both under. So they'll be looking to improve that. 1%ers, 45, 31 to the Pies. A few more to the Pies. Let's go and have a look at the ladder where it stands now. Let me turn that. Oh, I need to turn the live ladder on, don't I? So if we disregard the Western Bulldogs at the moment, because this is the live ladder, they're leading the Sydney Swans. The Western Bulldogs, before this game, they're on 40 points as well. So Collingwood move up to 40 on 100.1%. And if you have a look at all these teams around with the same percentage, it's pretty interesting. So this is a vital game for the Dogs to win against the Swans to get that half a game or game clear of the rest of the pack, which they need. But for all us Collingwood supporters, we need the Bulldogs to get beaten by Sydney today. Of course, Adelaide and Hawthorn play later on. We want Adelaide to win that for all your Pie supporters. But good news is Collingwood finally had a victory. They move up to 12th on 40 points. Only a game out of the top 8 now, which is fantastic. But there is a result, folks. There is a result for the day's game. Sydney finally got a goal today, Paul. Good to see. We need Sydney to get a lot of goals. We want them to come back hard. Come on, Swans. Do it for us Collingwood supporters. Do it for Addy G. Because I know Addy G he'll be cheering on the Dogs. You know, so there we go. But there we go. That is all good. All right, what's up next? Next up on the agenda, we got the next game coming up not too far away, and that is Adelaide versus Hawthorn. That game starts in about 10 minutes. So I will end this live in just a moment, and I'll get the other one started. So if you want to follow along with Adelaide versus Hawthorn, we'll have that up and running in about 6 minutes' time, folks. Should be another cracking game. Daniel Meldrum, how you going? I found you again. Good stuff, good stuff. Welcome in. Welcome in. If you want to find us again, we'll be doing the Adelaide Hawthorn game in around about 6 or 7 minutes' time, because that game starts in about 8 minutes, not too far away. Let's have another quick glance at the score that's taking place between Sydney and the Western Bulldogs. It's the Bulldogs leading the Swans 5-5-35 to the Sydney Swans. 1 goal, 1-7. Second quarter there. Need the Swans to lift, but all good stuff. How many seasons is 4-3-2? Huh? I don't quite understand that one. Don't understand that one, Brett. Good to see you, Brett. Thanks for coming in. 22 games a season. I think there's 24 games in this season this year, Paul. I think it is. What do you think about the derby last night? The derby was a good game. It was great to see West Coast doing well. They gave it a good run for their money. They threw everything at Freo, but Freo's class just turned it on in the second half and ran away for a good victory. I think if Freo are wanting to go a little bit further into the season, or into the finals at least, they need to be probably a little bit stronger and dominate these sides. They're a little bit weaker like West Coast here at the moment. But that being said, the derbies are always a good game no matter where they sit on the ladder. But Ryan's right, Collingwood were just too good for the Tigers today. Just like these two sides, no matter where they sit on the ladder, it's always a great game, always a big crowd. And it's a game that we always look forward to seeing, watching, listening to. It's a cracker. All right, folks, that's about all I got for everyone out there this time, for this game. I'll leave this board up for about another minute before I end the live. And then we'll catch you all over at Adelaide versus Hawthorn. Thanks, folks. Well done, Collingwood. Cheers to everyone who came in.